I, Imam Kawsu Fofana.
Nde Imam Kawsu Fofana.
Nde Imam Kawsu Fofana.
Do swear that.
Mbekalilako.
Mbekalilako.
I'll speak the truth.
Mbetonyale fola.
Mbetonyale fola.
The whole truth.
Tonya dama.
Tonya dama.
And nothing but the truth.
Ndunte fem fola mem manke tonyati.
Nde fem fola mem manke tonyati.
So help me God.
Woto alama alendema.
Alama alendema.
Imam Kawsu, welcome to the TRRC.
Imam Kawsu, bismillah TRRC jam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Greetings to everybody.
Kala tendo kasal kilama ka alfal kondon TRRC be.
Greetings to everybody here after thanking the Almighty Allah.
Thank you very much for accepting the request of the TRRC to appear and testify before the commission.
Barka bake ila songola puru TRRC le bismillah menke puru kanaja yela seda niro di TRRC jang barka bake ila songoka.
Please do note that one Omar Fofana, who happens to be your brother, has testified before this commission and has provided evidence about your activities, your relationship with the Supreme Islamic Council, and what has happened to you during the government of Yahya Jammeh.
Isi infanan kala mudako ibadi ngodo diamu rajang mem Umar Fofana ti menar nake idokoti bakilim fakilim wulwoto diamu rajang ko la me alon ko ye mutan wala mi ye ares anu diamu rajang ko la fana me alon ko e kam mam wala anila sok nyolo mem relationship ni Supreme Islamic Council badia me betema diamu to fanna fana na jan.
You are here today speaking on your own behalf about some of those same issues.
Andum bi fele ben sidla mel do jang inata le kas diam wo ko la me yalon ko pour ngamo ifango da ko ne diam wo ko la melan ko ngawole foy janteng.
That being the case, your testimony would be relatively short.
Wodali do kan ila sede andiro bi jang abasutiala demanding.
We intend to ensure that we do not overly repeat some of the things that have already been said.
Andumbe kata ko fanam fere lale ngaje nyasi yo be nyama ko do la me alon ko idoko ma Umar ay fo jannanu kana murun kawol kan pour si yo nyin kana me.
So I will identify some of the issues you will talk about.
Silang fanna lambe kachala men mbele fla ko lel foye jan sainteng.
First, we would want to know who is Kawsu Fofana.
Follow nyimbala fla kalong jumale mu Kawsu Fofana ti.
And briefly, we will discuss your background, educational background.
Ningo botala kumala sutiya fana mbele fla kalo kela londi konto ila londe onying ya karan ya sota nyame mbele fla kawo fana long ya follow minto la fo ya kumfa minto la mbele fla kawo fana long.
We will discuss the elections you have contested or the elections you are interested in for the presidency of the Supreme Islamic Council.
And Mbelafra kacha fana la fana memu karte fayoti lafte dabula na mentono memu kapalaso nyini Supreme Islamic Council la nyaton ko ya kuoto.
We will discuss the relationship between Yahya Jammeh and the Supreme Islamic Council.
Mbelafra kacha fana la memu Supreme Islamic Council ni Yahya Jammeh la badi ya membe tema Mbelafra kacha ofana nkuola.
We will discuss your preaching or your life as a preacher in Gambia and some of the important themes you used to talk about.
And Mbelafra kachala kula fana me alonko ika kawando sifal menke banko kanjang anin kumal me alonko itike nyati wala la ika kawando fa ila kawando ika nyati ndo sifal la.
Especially the labels you used with regards to some of the ethnic groups.
Surtout abel kono surtout ika nibela kawandola ika ikela nyati ling siol nyameng Mbelafra ko fanan kaw kacha.
But more importantly, we will discuss about your preaching about the sighting of the moon.
Bare abel kono men kumayata beti Mbelafra ka men kacha wala mnyit abel kono wala mnyiti ko ila karola jewo pour ikakawando ke jewo menna mbele fa ko fanan kacha.
And how that has brought you into conflict with the Supreme Islamic Council.
Woko ni nata ne sababu nyaadi le fo anata na nyomoy balia sabu itani Supreme Islamic Council tema.
And the problems you have had with Yaya Jammeh, especially with regards to that meeting that was held in State House with you, the Supreme Islamic Council, and the President.
And surtout abe kono wato men na yekumande no meeting wala State House ini ani Yaya Jammeh kole akol men soroje mbele flaka wo fanan kacha.
We will talk about your subsequent arrest, detention, and torture.
La kula fana me alon ko nyala ba nyin wato men arrest ye bulole kan ye bulole ga ye liba anin ku kotangol me alon ko kole yalla ye men lega.
And the last attempt to have you arrested, during which you supposedly or allegedly disappeared.
Andun kula ba nyimbe men fanan kacha la wala nyindi fanan nyala ba nyimbe nay tat e murte kan arrest dale andun ini narana diamo ye tu do fo ko ye mantale.
And what happened during your life in exile?
Muna nata na fanan kela biri tata iborta itata mane muna ketela je fanan kacha.
And any difficulties that may have caused your family?
Andung abe fanan kono ko nyimbe la ba nyin kole Allah ikang ikundingo ila kuita kundingo aning ila dimbaya lu kole akol men late ikang bela fraka fanan kacha.
After all that, we would, if they give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Ningo botala ninga atara montro wato ya dinna bela fanan ka wato murundi kan ko tekete fa ba Kawsu yela kuma labon fo bela fraka diam men ka yamaroro.
Are you prepared to proceed, Mr. Fofana?
Silang ba Kawsu fo ipare tala pour que la sedandiro nyinka commencer bang.
Thank you. By way of introduction, once again, my name is Esa Mbaifal. We have spoken before.
Saying a barka bake to come campaign tandi don to mu Esa Mbaifal let him bental nun komanto.
No, Mr. Fofana, Wojindiba. Thank you very much. Okay. So, insa datisani. I'm sorry. What are your full names, Mr. Fofana?
Ito kendo fangodum ito ni kondongdum.
Imam ba Kawsu Fofana.
My name is Imam Kawsu Fofana.
And you were born on 15 August 1969.
Munta iwuluta August karotil tang ani lulu 1959 sangokono. 1969 sangokono.
69 August 15.
And you were born in Jara Sankuya.
And the wuluta Sankuya sate wala kono Jara.
Jara Sankuya.
Yes, Jara Sankuya.
And you hail from the compound or household called Sobeya Kunda.
And nungi bota dimbaya leto ikafo dimbaya me Sobeya Kunda.
Nakordaro Sobeya Kunda.
Yes, our compound is termed as Sobeya Kunda.
And you had your initial studies in the Quran from your home village.
And no ila londi karango nying follow ya kumase dambe wala mila wulu sate ote me musankuyati.
Yes.
And during those studies you claim to have read 50 books of the Holy Quran.
And no ila karango nyi wicho nyi kono sate kono je ya follow dambe ko Qurano men karata dal fo Quran talulu ye men karang.
Yes, the books that my father taught me, which are different, is amounting to 50.
So those books are different from the Holy Quran.
Yes, they are different, but the Quran is involved among them.
And afterwards, you started wanting to go into formal modern Arabic education, correct?
Bringo botala la inata na ngani yosoro pour kata arabu karango la bari arabu karango nyinga be kala nyaal siol nyame wala arabic school karango def to nyala.
Yes, that's true. Then after that I went to the madrasa.
And the madrasa you went to happened to have been in Talinding Kunjang, and you went there in 1991.
Andu madraso ni tata da mento wala mu aketa da mento wolto mu talindin kunjang 1999 sango kon 1991 sango kon
1991 talindin.
Yes, it was
and
1991.
the name of the institute is Talinding Islamic Institute, which some of you call Daraba.
Andu karamo ito mu talindin Islamic school ati andu moli alon nin darabal.
Yes.
And because you have had some prior Islamic education in Sankuya, you started from the 6th grade.
Munta ba tumala mel na ye karang ke Allah ulu sado ya commencé wolto ka karang kabiri na talinding Arab school ya commencé grade 6 le.
Yes.
And there in 1992 you started learning to memorize the Quran.
Munta wolto mu 1992 sankono ya commencé ka Qur'ano nyin karang ka tanka.
Yes.
And you memorized the whole Quran within 1 year and 4 months, correct?
Munta al Qur'ano nyi ya be tanka sanji killing kari woro kari nani kono.
Yes.
It was after that you entered some competition to go to Saudi Arabia to represent Gambia on the recitation of the Holy Quran.
Biro borala me nata Saudi Arabia banko kan
Inata du nyose
ya to inata nata Saudi Arabia banko kan kata so kata Gambia to yala banko nyinka.
Yes.
And this was in 1992.
Andu nyinketa sangola ka me 1992.
Yes.
But afterwards, you completed your education in Talinding in 1997.
Munda biro borala yela londi karoni inata naban sangola ka me 1997.
Yes.
And thereafter, you taught for 1 year in Gambia, correct?
Inata na karandro ke Gambia banko kan jam membita for sanji killing to nyalemba.
Yes.
And thereafter, you won a scholarship to go and study in Saudi Arabia.
Munda biro borala inata na scholarship o gagné kata karangola Saudi Arabia banko kan to nyalem.
Yes.
And part of the competition for this scholarship was 150 countries would send 15 candidates, and out of those 15 candidates, 5 would be selected to represent their country.
Amunta nying londi se anyi do bita menna Saudi Arabia banko kan mo keme mo talulu e be wala tala bankol be nyim bankol be kan ñun be ko banku tanni lulu wala bitaje bari lulu e be wala tombon na banko katela banko to yala
banko mo banko keme banko talulu wala competition ke Dakar banko mo tanni lulu ki.
The countries are 150 countries, and each country there will be 15 participants, and at the end of the selection, each country they will send 5 people from each country.
Gambia mo tanni lulu ki mo lulu tada ndeblato mo lulu kon.
To select the 5 people after the 15 competed, but I was one of the 5 people who were able to go.
Gambia sent 15 contestants. 5 were ultimately selected. I was one of them selected.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much.
Barakabake.
And after your selection, to which university were you sent?
During ye tombongo kafo kono. Ye itata university jumalto pour yetaje.
Kafa kuliyadul Quran, dirasat al-Islamiyya, Quran nola kulliya university anemisi mala karantomal.
Well, it was a university where you read the Quran to master it, and this school is specially for the reading of the Quran to master it. That's where we went to. And
the university is called Qurana University.
University in Tomu Qurana University.
Qurana University.
It's called Qurana University.
And you were the only Gambian there at the time, correct?
Yes, I was the only Gambian at the Qurana time.
And as part of your studies, you had to memorize the Quran, correct?
Yes, and there were 30 different ways of reading the Quran, and I had to master all the 30 ways.
Thank you very much. So, during your Quranic studies in Saudi Arabia, you used to come to the Gambia on holidays, correct?
Jamano menna itata Arabia karangola. Idal tale kana Gambia banko ka jang lifola fotonyale.
Yes, I used to come for holidays here every year from Saudi.
And what would you do as part of your fulfillment of some of your obligations in Islam? What are the things you would do during that period to advance the cause of Islam?
Silang ila o wicho nyingono ni na rajang ite ka munolam ikang pur dino la karola ka dino fasa ni te na rajang ika muneke ol kono adabe kono ika muneke ni na rajang mi alon ko duñ pur ka ke
katen wala anan kawando.
Just to continue teaching and people.
And you returned from Saudi Arabia in 2003, correct?
Amunda bonna Saudi banko kan kana Gambia banko ka jang sangola ka fme 2003.
Yes.
And when you returned, you continued preaching the teachings of Islam in naming ceremonies, funeral services, weddings, gamos, etc.
Biri murutana nyi Gambia bango kanja itentente ila kawandola dingiral do memu bengol di kuliol lem futusito lem bang manyo bitol lem bang gamol lem bang ani l'Islam bengol do continue de kawando kala nyi dingiral bedo.
Continue kawando.
Yes, I continued teaching and preaching.
This basically summarized your background as a student in Islamic studies.
Munta nyi ila baro lem nata na ila kul be tandiko itamu mole to mi alon ko imu kawandilaldi londo do mi alon ko yola kara mem Islamic study l'Islam wala karolati.
Yes.
Can you tell us how you came to be involved in the activities of the Supreme Islamic Council?
Misa fono nye wadi jumalam tembe jumalam nata fa sita in nata na ke dabula Supreme Islamic Council la kuoldo.
Amma wala karola.
On that side,
Supreme Council ela manda banda 2008.
Supreme Islamic Council's mandate ended in 2008.
July la juma folo Imam Fatiha kurboke State House Jamoto President ya jamano.
The first Friday in July, Imam Fati did some preaching at the State House Mosque.
Sermon
at the State House Mosque.
Adia moda si alla kuola banko kan aneka toro menke nebe banko kan.
He talked about the Shia who live in this country and the problems they cause in this country.
Bilen salo bodala ya jamenate nyinenka nesi alka ketenne muna na dunda banko kan Islam Council man kuntu nyaro wala man lola kumora.
When people prayed after the prayers, Yahya Jammeh asked him, well, if this is the way of life of the Shia, why did the Supreme Islamic Council allow them to come into the country?
Yeah. Do you recall exactly what he said about the life of the Shia in Gambia that was a problem?
Hakilo sa murano famfanke ay même fo sial la ko ko sial bu problème wodi la ko mu kole ila ko ka kole akola na de banko kanja fo hakilo sa murano famfanke ay même fo ba.
Yes.
Ago eka si nebe banko ke si masa kundal tora si molo kullo to Fofana banko lukan.
He said when they live in a country, they always create problems for governments and they secretly kill people.
Ene alo sunnol beka ben ombando wahabiyalu.
And they are always in contention with Ahli Sunnah and the Wahhabiyah.
Kamansa kundal fana tora animol.
And they are always giving problems to the governments and they create problems for even the people.
O toro mansa kundala kara toro la yako munana Islam Council man kukela kuro.
On the side of the government, if there are people who create problems for the governments, why did the Islamic Council allow them into the country?
Ya jabi eko Islam Council leke jia bando mo president Usmana Dia omba president olakara bendu airport.
And the answer they gave him was that Banding being the president of the Supreme Islamic Council and Usman Jah being the vice president, these are the people who go and meet these people when they are coming into the country, and they come with them into the country.
As far as you know, were these accusations true?
Itala londoro fo nyin tumidol la yemem fo fo toñalemba.
Orumo kukurola molu meje bay la diama ke go ibesian banko kan.
Well, this was a new thing in the country, but how they explained things, well, people tended to believe them. But at that time, people didn't know exactly what was going on about them.
So you are telling us you don't know whether that accusation was true or false?
Munda ilafta ka fonyele ko wato la itama lonnu ko fo tumiro nyi ka mem fo la ko to fo toñalemba fo toñande.
Well, what they said, lies were more than the truth in whatever they said.
Or the accusations were more than the truth? Is that what he said?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And how did Yaya Jammeh receive that information? How did he take that information?
Sa njero Yaya Jammeh o kibaro nyi ayo ta nyaadi le.
Bile faado akodo Islam Council fon la manda bandale moli banko jibe banko moli ajibe ilata menna e karto fayo council kutoena.
Well, after all this was said, Yaya Jammeh said, okay, now as far as your mandate has finished, then people will vote and bring in new people and usher in new people to a new Supreme Islamic Council.
By this pronouncement, did Yaya Jammeh dissolve the then existing Supreme Islamic Council?
Kabo nyin kankularo la mem fo daten. Fo Yaya Jammeh na Supreme Islamic Council la nyaton ko nyin anyana ne ay janjande bang.
Akomolu bay banko karannalo imamol la kajibe la flamen kelaje nalma fitna man sabeka da donje bara safono alake wala nako molu fon lena ilata menna yoki.
He said, you have scholars in the country. As far as they live in harmony together, government will not have anything to do with them. But as far as these revolutions have come out, then people should look and see whoever they want, they can vote for them to come into the new council.
Before this time, were you ever aware of Yaya Jammeh involving himself in the activities of the Supreme Islamic Council?
Yandi nyi wato be sila fo afura anana futa tele londo do bang ko Yaya Jammeh akadabula Supreme Islamic Council la tamandir nyato bang.
Ha.
Yes.
Can you give us an example? That is before 2008.
Omu jannin 2008 sangolti abe wallad.
Janne banno be kelaje wato menna.
Before Bandim became the president of the Supreme Islamic Council.
1994 coup d'etat kola.
After the 1994 coup d'etat,
yake falen doke jara Mansa Kongo commandant Kundato.
Well, change took place at Mansa Kongo governor's office.
Tombondo wato ya ngani ya molu soto isimene tombo ke president amala fi dolla wala ke president.
Well, during the selection, there were some people whom Yaya wanted to select, and there were people he didn't want, whom he didn't want to come into the council.
Bele wala kera president hane karoko wala ameto no masanji wala puru ya sum makala ba masoro wala.
But when that new council was put in place, he was following them for 7 years so that they can follow the footsteps of Makkah on the sighting of the moon, but he was unable to convince them.
Then
he was able to object to some of the people selected, and even the way they were walking, he objected to some of those things. As soon as their term came to an end, he was the first person to tell them that yes, now your period has ended. Now it's time for a new council.
2008 July.
That was July 2008.
And were any elections held during that period?
That was the time when people got up so that they can vote.
2008.
Voting took place in 2008.
16 and 17.
The voting took place 2 days, on the 16th and on the 17th of August.
Who were the candidates, if you could recall? For the position of president?
President.
When this was announced at the mosque, people came to me so that I can go and be one of the candidates. Many imams approached me. Even if I went for preaching at different venues, people will come and approach me and tell me to seek the position. Then I went with some imams to the ministry responsible for religious affairs, which at that time Ismail Sambu was the minister.
Yes, Mr. Fofana, we understand that you were interested, or you were made to be interested in the position. Did you ultimately contest in the election?
Mr. Fofana, ngai faham le ko ifana bela firino nukalo waranto moli ichodi no pour ifana yelo bar sila nyala ba wonyum fo inarna de idabula carte fa nyinto la ba
Yes, I stood as a contestant.
And this election was in fact conducted by the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission.
Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC.
Yeah, it ended with them.
So what was the outcome of the election?
Well, if you can give me just a short time, I would like to give the history of what happened there.
If I do that, you may not be able to finish today. So, and there are a lot of important things for you to say. So that is why I just want us to jump some of these things. We have your statement, all right? So we talk about the election and the outcome, then we move on to the other more important things.
Ninga kamem fo wala nyule ninga oke na oke azikeno ila sedandiro nyimbi atebanno la bi wala ya sabu aba ke kan wonya mada ka sawun ko dolla katun science kamem fo dafa ye statement odile mem kuma kan rabe saferinde so wala na ka sawun fanna dolle sajin sa tariyan do man fanna me alon ko kuma ya da ila ko kono wal si suju wala sajin si wol mano si bannol wala dina ka sawun dolle
nyendo ngalo nyoka militi lulo baba na ba jamal ben lamela jamal polam.
Well, if you allow me, I'll be able to finish in 5 minutes because this is something very important and those people listening to me are interested in this.
I won't give you 5 minutes, I will give you 1 minute. So tell us about those in summary form.
Be minute lulu dide, be minute kilin dide, saying, kumala suti agandon, je tarian ay domani.
Birendara ministering inada fonya ngala Sanaja Metraje, permanent secretary.
When we went to the ministry, we found Sanaja Medea, he was the permanent secretary.
Ago itolmambo Islam Council kalama by olmetale itolmanna ministerial juna.
He said they were not aware of the Islamic Council because it was just recently that they occupied these positions.
But it also don't know la for nini la constitutional benda no Sunday yanyini.
Well, you cannot stand except after their constitution allows you to stand. Then you can seek the position.
Nada constitutional dealer.
Then we gave them the constitution.
Constitutional sarato nebe president na sarati lulu.
There were 5 principles for seeking the position of
criteria.
That criteria. Okay.
Or conditions.
Conditions for you to become president of the Sovereign Islamic Council.
You
have to be a citizen. You have to be somebody learned. You will have to understand 2 languages, Arab and English, so that you can be able to write and speak the language. And you should be somebody well known. If you are named, people will know who you are. And somebody who can lead an association or a group in the country and out of the country. These are the 5 different conditions. But if you are going to be a voter, every division, they selected 15 people from each division. Banjul 15 people. Kanifing 15 people. Their committee is 50 people. These are the amount of people who can vote for the president.
If
If you are not among those 15 people, you cannot vote.
The
The 15 people were too small. Then we told the minister, well, this is something which will just be for them. They said they cannot go past that. But we can seek the country from those 15 people. We can go and campaign. Because there are people who used to vote for somebody for 5 years. But if he sees somebody else more eligible for him, then he will change his way and vote for the new person. We can take and seek the position from the whole country. If it is going to be only those if there can be changes and everybody is going to vote, then you can have it also that way. If the imam should come to them, big Dara where I went to school, and they said it's now time, and people believe in Kawsu. Because right now he's a young man. Before we will show him out, we will come to the people who taught him. We met with them on Saturday and we gave them chance till the following Saturday. We went there and they said nobody is going to stand. Then we went through Mount Lamin Toure and he said he will not stand. Then among these 50 people, we saw 30 people whom we thought that we can hope on those people. The other 15 people, we decided to follow them, and we went up to the provinces. We went around the length and breadth of the country. The reason is the chair was vacant, not because of Banding could stand or what. Banding said the chair is not vacant. He is going to seek the presidency again. When Soriba was the president, it used to be three years for the position.
For the mandate.
For the mandate is 3 years. When Banding got it, he was there for 3 years. He said the 3 years is very short. Let them make it 5 years. And that's the time when the constitution was changed from 3 to 5 years. When the 5 years was completed, it became 8 years. Then they decided that every president who sits down will have 2 terms. Then he spent another 5 years and it became 13 years. That coincided with this problem of the Shia. They said his mandate is finished. He said the law doesn't go back. The 8 years have elapsed, so we have to wait for this other 5 years. And at that time, they were thinking that he didn't want to stand or he should not stand. And if he is going to stand, he will have nobody to contest the place with, because they were afraid of him. When he wanted to stand, they didn't support him because the president himself didn't want him to occupy the position again. When I showed that I wanted to stand, they supported me, but still he said he wanted to stand. So it was between myself and Banding.
Was Banding ultimately allowed to stand?
Banding, nyala ba onye inarna silo diala pour ay loba.
He was not allowed to stand, but he decided to stand by force. He refused to.
Who decided to prevent him from running?
Jumale bantam bilta nyaado pour akana dabula nyo seya nyin kono.
Laban president na bay ban anala member be.
In fact, at the end, the president had to ban him with his whole group.
Did you consider that as executive interference in the activities of the Supreme Islamic Council?
Itela mira loro ite amira omu kumalet kuleti kannet me alon ko abura santol to me alon ko amom nyanda bola je pour que dabula Supreme Islamic Council tamandir nyaado ma.
Ya telephone li yo fole ko ya te bay no la parce que secrétaire les siendi.
They themselves said Yaya cannot dismiss or ban them because he was voted in by election.
Ayo moy waya dimi ya yo fala di amoro aka jawra ban cardo men sindi ayo bay sakotulu.
He said that Yaya, when he heard that, he was very angry. He said he was able to ban Jawara. So why can't he ban these people?
Odumo tole kar dialogue dadi bunyal mello ka ofso yele ya jame commandije.
At that time, they decided to call Yaya to a house where they decided to establish their headquarters.
Jumalon Ablai Fati kuduboke.
On Friday, Ablai Fati did a sermon.
Ay kudubo fulanjang ako yenyanyi councilor be janjang imando koke banon do ya janala jamabe.
And during his sermon, he said this council should be dissolved. In fact, he seriously criticized banding there.
Aram salon ya jamena da jeda yala another bandon by another molbe.
On Thursday, Yaya came and opened the place. That's the day he decided to ban banding and his people and told them to leave.
Sa to dande damala.
I was the only one left now.
Biro kere na na lamin to tombo.
But when that happened, they decided to go for Lamin Toure.
Odumo carte fo long suriara.
And voting was very close by then.
Panye nga ko ja nama mbeda nga fo minister le ko dol bika bono ngale do safiya jamme.
Whatever I see which is not proper, I used to tell the minister, but upon that, I used to write a letter to Yaya Jammeh himself. Because the elections should be conducted by the IEC.
Who conducted the elections in that particular instance?
O ikay men fanna men fotan jumala narana o carte fa ni nyaton kaya.
Sa bien ya bien nga fo ya tol fon la nyanna kelante ni tol tema be la le fon lu kanne ya nyanna de bondi bula de IEC la.
Well, when I explained the matter to Yaya Jammeh, and I told them these people, they are going to support themselves, Yaya decided to take elections from them and give it to the IEC.
So the IEC ultimately conducted the election?
Amunda IEC wala narna ko carte fa ni nyaton kaya.
Anem Minister Ismaila?
Yes, with the Minister Ismaila.
And voting was held, correct?
Carte fa ni narna ke tonya.
Carte fa man na ke?
Voting didn't take place at all.
What happened?
Muneketa.
Biren IEC na biren ya carte fa di IEC ni Minister Ismaila.
When this voting was handed over to IEC and the Minister Ismaila, and the date was very close, but they didn't change the date. IEC said they cannot conduct their own program. Islamic Council had their own constitution and the voting rights they have. They can give them the election to do it. And they knew that Kawsu is a candidate and he has already campaigned in the country.
And constitution on Yalamandi, member na Kawsu qualify for that.
That's the time when they decided to change and amend some parts of the constitution because they said Kawsu is already qualified. And among those 50 people, there were people who changed the sides. And they decided to organize a new register there immediately. If somebody they know that used to vote for them, and they now discover that this person has changed sides, they will scratch your name and put in a new name who will vote for them. They had 15 new people added, and the constitution was also amended by them.
Are you saying that this was an irregularity? This was fraud, pretty much.
The politics itself is a dirty game. But the politics that learned people do is dirtier than people who are less educated.
Whatever,
if there are two things, a good and a bad thing, those who are well educated, usually they used to have fame more than the people who are less educated.
You want to give me some? Kawsu, at this time you used to write to Yaya Jammeh. Did you write to him and protest about this or these irregularities?
What time bidan nu ikaya Jammeh ka safaro ka ne kale darol safande kabri nyim ko fanan keta inara na safaro ka ne banka itandala ko koltara nyamende imanta nen silo laba
Beren mol benda tiltan no woro August 16 sibitilong.
When people met on the 16th of August on a Saturday,
that
was the day for the Congress. IEC came and the ministry came. They said that they will divide it into two sections. Banding's 13 years that he spent as president of the council, how much money was he able to collect and what has been done with that money? If that is already checked and they know what has happened there.
But let us focus on the voting. And then we take it from there. We know all the things you have said about Banding's report. That is in your statement. The commission will take note of it, but we have to progress. We have to, because we are against time.
Sainte nganyati linkarte fayo nyina kuro. Ngalone Banding na la molla bala molla ko nyimbe menta mataje ya fonyele. Inga safela be saferoto. Par sila puru montoro ni wato e detala wala tinna sila nga sauni do ngata karte fayo nyina kunyanyi ngata wala.
Ai sina da fo karola sarato mende nyemo tanne lolo ni menta je sama dimaso kanana.
Well, then the IEC said, among these 5 people, whoever is not among them shouldn't come on the day of election. He said there are only 11 positions who are voted in, the president and 10 other people. When they decided to explain the position of the president, that's the time they dropped back Kawsu.
Constitution of the ministry president Islam Council This is the time. By that time, we had already written a letter to the president, to the IEC, and to the ministry. This is why I was able to contest for the elections. And they told the IEC that what you are following and the constitution we have are quite different. They said this is what the Islamic Council gave them. They told them that, well, the Islamic Council has been banned. It is left to you to bring in a new thing. And there were a lot of people who protested. The minister himself took up the microphone and started talking to the people. Calm down, but that was unable to calm the people. Then Ismaila used to point to certain people and instruct the paras to arrest them, but they were unable to arrest anybody because there were a lot of people and there was total chaos. This is how some of them were smuggled out, went into their vehicles and escaped. And the following day, they themselves alone came together. They wrote these 11 positions and gave it to the IEC. When IEC asks who wants to stand as president of the Supreme Islamic Council, Banding was there. He caught Laminture's hand and they all shouted, Allahu Akbar. And that's how they wrote that Laminture is now the president. And he called the former president's hand and said, Allahu Akbar. And they said Allahu Akbar for 11 times.
All of that didn't become prayers. This is how they became members of the Supreme Islamic Council.
So there was no voting.
No, there was no voting. They just shouted Allah Akbar 11 times.
But did you write to Yaya Jammeh to inform him that it was Allahu Akbar Tanninkiling instead of voting?
Four. Sign ko min nyimbe nya laba ni nar na leda rosa fe Yaya Jammeh na ka tandala ko carte man fay men keta wolem Allahu Akbar sinya tang aninkiling wala keta.
When
that happened, I called Ismail on the telephone and we discussed. I asked him what has happened. He said the fraud he saw that day, he had never witnessed that kind of fraud in his lifetime.
The question is, did you challenge this Allahu Akbar Tanninkiling?
Ako nyini karo mende wala minde nying Allahu Akbar Tanninkiling nying. Fo ya wosile ba.
Akonya ko nila fida amantiling bay nita president ina sira don abatilen la ba malla fi nyimala amalla fi jenkola.
Well, what he told me was that go to the president. If you talk to him about this fraud, then he might effect changes.
Nada tuje bay otumo ngafo to le code lola benkoma bide nada lodon denade tujele. Then
I decided to leave everything because what I saw was fraud, and I decided that, well, this thing is not worth it anymore. Then I decided to forget the whole thing. Then I went to Lamin Toure and told him that, you know how you got this presidency. Then I will not against you. I will not do anything. I will follow you. And I prayed for him, for Allah to give him peace on the seat.
And so tell us, what was the purpose of the Supreme Islamic Council?
Silang afonyang Supreme Islamic Council itol fam mona muy daliloti ya lonkangoti.
Kalo lesion islamique comme messi molla ko kalo messi molla problème la. Well,
the purpose of the Supreme Islamic Council is to stand for the Muslims, to look after the needs of the Muslims, and to try and help the Muslims whatever they want to do.
Did the Supreme Islamic Council, as far as you know, have the mandate to regulate the kinds of sermons people or preachers were allowed to make?
Tela Londoro. Four. After the Londoro Supreme Islamic Council. Four. Ya sembo soro la vampuruka sartol tamandi. Menyan na kawando ke andun kawando fana niba ke la ibibula la sila jumal no. For Supreme Islamic Council yo sembo soro la bankawo ke ba.
Ani o mantre la saratoto ka ko ga kawandela la fo bire nemba ka o problem soro otomola yehudati.
No, that was not part of their mandate until when they had this problem with me. That's the time when they started bringing that into affairs.
As far as you know, did the Supreme Islamic Council have the power to ban a person who is preaching something that they did not like?
Say, if an ila London haninkabi for ya London for Supreme Islamic Council for ya sembo soro la puru kamo ban ko la nyindi ka tong. Kula me alon kabe kawando ke kan pour jama kono membe keri na jama kono pour falendilo sino na jama kono fo Supreme Islamic Council fo yo sembo soro pour ko mari nyin ka tomba
nada sembo soro ya fana nada sembo de la dino sembo be.
Yes, because it was Yaya who gave them those powers, but initially they didn't have that power.
The documents of the Supreme Islamic Council, its constitution, did it give it that power to decide to ban people should in case the person preaches something that they did not like?
Silang wo mu ila tarambulo de mu ila constitution odi fo wo sembo dilal bam puru ka abeje la ban ka itandi ko momo yalon ko be kawando ke kam yalon ko amanni silo manta puru ko mari nyin ka ban ka tong akana kawande ke
odumo kawandol fana man problème soro bage problème ka soro mento do don ma mo na la mo ko yara e ko ba bon le ko da bon la dol ko kare ke ma de kare kana kati. Well,
at that time, there were no problems about sermons or what people preached. Problems arise from the building of mosques and other affairs leading to leadership things in the country. That's where problems always arose.
So going forward, in 2008, after Mr. Lamin Toure was made the president, were there any issues pertaining to the sighting of the moon?
Silang han kabi katanyaro. Kabo 2008 sound kono. Kabri mo Lamin Toure na ke president of fo. Kolea kuol na sura labang kasujining ka karijube wala bang.
Fofana la kala na milite loldin.
On that side also, I'm requesting for 5 minutes.
Wallahi do yawa.
2 minutes.
Ako midi fula.
Beren la ntura na lo of course atura lo konfula son karo sire.
After Lamin Toure's standing, it was August, then we went into the Ramadan.
Son karo karajibo nin la ntura dia amada telefono la.
For the sighting of the moon, I talked to Lamin Toure on telephone.
Nga jam banko ka sale e kasun lun saba.
I told him here in the country, there are 3 days whereby people used to fast or pray.
Banko kan usaso dolu be janen dolu e kasun maka karjolo.
There are some Islamic leaders here who are following Makkah. What Makkah does, that's what they do.
Banko kan dolu be je kasun Islam Council la karjolo.
There are some people who used to follow the Supreme Islamic Council when they said the moon has been sighted.
Sabanjan dolu be jang e be kasun ni nyaman karoje tombi sandonkolo.
The third group is people mostly from the provinces. They don't fast unless they sight the moon for themselves. And when these things happen, people used to ask me, a lot of people in fact, where do you stand? Well, what I tell them is, when we sight the moon, let's start fasting. We cannot go along with Mecca. When it was the day of Eid, they decided to conduct a courtesy call and they went to the president.
This was in 2008, correct?
2008.
Yes, it was in 2008.
Continue, please.
Well, when they sat with the president on that day, they introduced members of the new council to Yaya and they explained their needs also to him. Yaya gave them 2 vehicles, a Pajero and a van. He also gave them some money. And they told him that they owe some money and he also gave them money for that. Their bills and other needs. Then there's the time Yaya asked them, can't we go along with Mecca for fasting and Eid prayers? They said that's the best we can do. Let's follow the footsteps of Mecca.
Were you present in that meeting or were you told?
There was one among them called CDSCC. He came, he explained this thing to me.
Proceed, please.
The following year, 2009, when Ramadan was approaching, when the Ramadan was very close, they wrote a letter to Yaya and told him that, well, what you said last year that we should go along with Mecca. Yaya told them that, well, I am not well learned in the Islamic way, but I will ask. In fact, you people should go around the country and talk to the people of the country. Whatever they decide, we should take that. Before 1 month before the Ramadan, they decided to go have a countrywide tour. But their intention was Gambia to go along with Mecca. But if they sit down with the people, or not everybody will agree to that. Well, in fact, later on, they changed, and now what they told the people is that we are a new council. We want the whole country to start fasting on the same day and pray the same day. And this we want to do it with Mecca.
Banko mo sonda mo kilin na karjo anen dula kilin ba banko kamele be Gambia kono la ba tolbe makalla ba fana mu dula kilin de dunya kono.
What they told the people was that even if one person, it's only one person who sights the moon in the country here, that's enough for us to pray. And but what was their plan was to do this along with Mecca.
Banko mo be diam kan wol hakilo be Gambia la kan ba dol hakilo be dunya la kan.
When they were discussing this with the people, people thought that because they said if somebody sights the moon in the country, so people thought that they were basing their intention on the people of the country. On the whole, their plan was to go along with Mecca.
You believe, or you telling us, that the people were misled. Is that what you're saying?
Amunta ilafta kanyim fonyele ko mol ye mol filindile ininki baro men tate ka ye mol filindile.
Ha ya kama ye mol filindile.
Yes, people were misled.
At the time, did you protest that the people were being misled?
O wato la binite o kibaro moy fo inata na balambaya ka ko nyindol ban ka fo ko mol ye mol filindile ba.
Ha bira ko da ko mol filindi ba juna man ko mol ma ko be filindi kan.
Yes, at that instant people didn't know that they were misled until after a little time.
Bire banko beta ne imamol na da ma be la yala ne be paso di le ka sinya.
Well, after their countrywide tour, the imams met, because if they were giving you fare, you have to sign for it.
No, kaiti sinya rona pe ka ko bankota ma be ya sinya sonda makala. Ba makala be adresor.
Well, after their tour, they went to the president with that document saying that all the imams have signed. So now they've agreed that we are going to go along with Mecca.
Backhouse, you are on the oath.
Backhouse along ko ibe kalola to korot.
Are you swearing on the oath that the signatures of the imam indicating receipt of transport money is what was used to show to Yaya Jammeh that they have accepted the proposal that Gambia would fast, break the fast, and pray alongside Mecca?
Amunta ilafta kafoko. O kaito nyimme yalon ko yin almamol men bondinan santoro ye nata ye tol safeje mo morondi ye kodo men dila ya sinyeje koy kodo nyi receive ye kodo nyin tale o kayti kilingo nyi wolesta ya samba ya jammel kay tandala ko silan tata banko be nga murumurunde annu almamol min be banko kay sontale fele ya sinya say o kayto ilafta fola yola samba ya jammel pour kay tandala ko almamol banko be sontala pour nimma kay sunyola nganna sungol tay wata kiling nga sunyola nga salinyola.
Yes, that's the document they took to Yaya Jammeh.
Ya nada for sign. Inada na nimme nada balawo kuala imamolu kono.
Now Yaya told them that if any imam should turn against this thing anymore,
then they told
Yaya that we will leave that with you. Any imam who turns against us, now whatever is to happen to him is left to you, the president.
Are you saying that Yaya Jammeh was misled? He was lied to by members of the Supreme Islamic Council? That is what you are saying?
Amunta elafta kanyim foko Yaya Jammeh ya filindile Supreme Islamic Council laying alfal men furatama wol ya filindile elafta ka wolof.
Ha wala filindi.
Yes, they misled him.
Biro keda sunkaro sida.
After that, when it was time for the Ramadan,
2009 molne makala sungo bendan sunda nyola.
2009, at the beginning of the Ramadan, it coincided with the day that Saudi announced, and we all fasted together on the same day.
Being salo sida 2009 sunkara salo molne makala karjo fora nyoko.
But when it's time for the Eid prayers, we didn't sight the moon on the same day with Mecca. So we didn't pray on the same day with Mecca. When people were looking for the moon, Lamin Toure spoke on the radio and the television. He said people have sighted the moon in the Gambia. He named a village, Dasilame Sangajor, where the sheriffs live. He said those people have sighted the moon. He named 5 people among the Serif clan from Dasilame Sangajor, saying that those are the people who said they sighted the moon.
Ora asabati la Gambia dinkira killing menu konya e karoj.
So it became only one place in the Gambia who said that they sighted the moon.
Ako makan ko fana e karoj anemban kudolo.
He said now Makkah also has announced that they have sighted the moon plus some countries he named.
Islam Council of President Lamdo ako sama molsi sale.
Then that was the time when the president of the Supreme Islamic Council, Lamin Toure, said, then tomorrow we should pray.
Banko modolo salda bay daslame karoj.
Some people prayed because of the name of Dasilame Sangajor he mentioned.
Doluman sale bay banko be kan la maje Senegal maje dan na banko.
Then the rest of the country didn't pray because even Senegal and these other countries in the sub-region, none of them has sighted the moon.
Enada da salakira do samo.
The following day, people who went to the Eid prayers,
Birendi amo kira salakira ko la min tura la dia mo kono.
when they were talking after the Eid prayers, Lamin Toure gave a speech.
Ako president ko ngadi disappointed soro.
He told the president that we are disappointed.
Me milite president yari nyame.
Look at a president of the country, you gave orders and now that order has been refused by some people.
Anindolo Islam Council la kan ngale kan ko moli sale dolman son sale.
You gave an order and we the Supreme Islamic Council followed you, but some of the people in the country decided to defy you and us.
Sa ngodu no murundita kan.
Now we are giving you back that load so that you can do something about it.
Biren president be dia mo jabila.
When the president was replying to their statement,
Ako sa Islam Council atol la kude je kote.
he told them now, this is no longer your business. The Supreme Islamic Council, he decided to tell them, this is not your business now, it's left to me.
Akada nda nada salda memman sale samete salla.
He said that's the last time. Any day he prays, those who didn't pray on that day, they will not pray anymore.
Akola men tura bayta fana nda disappoint.
He told Lamin Toure that, but you also disappointed me.
Akambe tele jebe wala ngejebe kankularo la.
I saw you on TV. You were making an announcement.
Eko banko kam mole karoje dulal tofo ya mol tof.
You said in the country here, people sighted the moon. You named some people. You named a village where the moon was sighted.
Ya jame man dulal tofo da ma moto fo da ba kay o mo la tura la ko sampa ko pata kay karoje.
He didn't name a village. The president didn't name a village, but he told Lamin Toure that you named the village, you named some people, and said that those are the people who said they sighted the moon. And after that, you said that Mecca has announced that they sighted the moon. He asked him, why did you mention only two places, Mecca and the Gambia? So far, we've agreed to go along with Mecca. There's no need for you to name Gambia, just say Mecca. That's the time people understood that on the whole, these people have now followed the footsteps of Mecca. They had it from Yaya Jammeh.
Were you present during that meeting?
I personally had it on radio and TV when Yaya was talking and when Lamin Toure was making the announcement.
Okay, so what happened after that?
After that, it was time for the Eid al-Adha prayers.
2009 maka karoje be sunna jumalo be salla jumalo banna Gambia je be salla sibiro banna.
Well, that time Mecca saw the moon, sighted the moon, and they prayed on a Friday, but the Gambia sighted the moon on that Friday and should pray on a Saturday.
Makankole jumo kankula.
Mecca, they announced that Eid prayers should be on Friday.
Islam Council man jumo for man sibiro ba ya jame malafi Gambia la mol malafi makala e mandula to.
Well, the Supreme Islamic Council didn't announce any name or any country because he knew that Gambians don't want to follow Mecca.
Arabalon enada tatele ni radio.
On Wednesday, they went to the TV and radio. Then they said tomorrow, Thursday, is the day for Arafah and Friday is prayer. But they didn't announce that the moon was sighted.
Were you happy with this situation?
There's 1 minute left. On Friday, when they went to these Eid prayers, Yaya himself, well, on that Tobaski day, people who refused to pray on Tobaski were more than the people who refused to pray on Korite.
Ya na na letter itandi.
Then showed them a letter.
Akatul ko banko be kambenda afele banko be balanda.
He told them, you people told me that the whole country agreed with you, but now it is obvious that the whole country didn't agree to this. He told them that I will not trust you. They told him that the whole country has agreed, but it was Kawsu who decided to change things. That was the first day they named me to Yaya Jammeh. He told them, how can Kawsu convince people to refuse? Did he go around the nation? They told him that last Friday, Kawsu did a sermon telling the people that we cannot fast on the same day with Makkah.
Was that a lie? Was that a lie?
He said, which one?
Did you give a sermon saying that Gambia could not pray with Mecca?
Yes, I did that.
So it wasn't a lie that you gave the sermon. But you did not travel the whole country to tell people that they should not pray.
No, I didn't go around the country. I just said this on Friday in my sermon.
Ya nada fo sa nyin na kurubo kilin o banko be balande ko kuma muto nyaade ba ente man karangal nyinin kale.
Yaya now told them, one man gives a sermon and the whole country decided to follow him. Well, now how can I trust you people?
Ako atul karanna jamalo atul kebalo ba ka suma kilende dinno mate place tabulo akuma da mole kuma kilin molu sonda molu balanda atul kuma da mamba ko to nyamu.
He told them, you people are elders and you are many, but Kawsu is a young man and he is alone. But his sermon on one day, how was able to convince the whole country? Is this true? Can I believe you people anymore? That's the day he told them, now we will investigate about Kawsu. The following Friday was the day when the police came to call me. Before that, on a Tuesday, CDSCC, he explained everything to me that happened, the signatures of the imams, what they did and how things, CDSCC told me everything about it. He told me that I'm afraid before they will harm you. This is why I'm giving you this information, so that you can be armed with this information. Because the agreement is that any imam who refuses this will have to have a serious problem. So this is why I'm telling you. That's the time when I told Sidia, now, why are you afraid to change things? He said, it's because of Yaya Jammeh. I asked him, were you forced? He said, no, he didn't force them, but he asked them. He said, but it is not in the Quran, it is not in the Hadith, and Makkah didn't say it. Why? When he asked you people, why didn't you tell him the truth that this is impossible? Because they realized that Yaya wanted things that way. So to please Yaya, they decided to tell him, yes, it is possible. I told them, now, you people have done this to please Yaya. And one day when Yaya is no longer the president and a new president comes in, and they want us to go back to the former norm, whereby we have to sight the moon as the country people believe, what are you going to do? He said, when the new president comes and whatever he decides, the Islamic Council will follow him. Then I told him that you people want to make the moon a football whereby you will be kicking it around in a field. So I asked him, now, what do you want from me again?
agombe men ko mo tonya de ba sa en kana ke kenaba do kumode ni yen nga nga faate kenola ba en kana ke kurbol nen kawandirawde.
He told me, now what I want you to do is don't reveal this to anybody and don't say it in your sermons. Just keep quiet and leave it like that,
mandora kandan sor
so that I might be harmed if I did.
ngando mo dale bul mbadla fulala.
I told him that I will not take your advice. I will continue doing this.
If
anybody asks me, I will tell him that this is impossible. I told them last year when this election was being held, there was fraud. Kawsu didn't stand.
Biren banko mo lefra ba Kawsu la nyina biren kar problem na ko ba Kawsu la banko mo balandi ala seren siran soro balia ayo kan fala jinka ya fasaru wala.
What they said to the people was that because last year Kawsu wanted to become the president of the Supreme Islamic Council, but when he failed to get the seat, he became angry. This is why he's trying to discredit us. He's saying things that doesn't go along with what we wanted as the council. That the following day, the police came. The following Friday, the police came.
And no, minute full wrong. 2 minutes. But it's now 10 minutes past 4. We have 20 minutes to go, and there is a lot to talk about. If you insist on going into every detail, we will not finish. If you want to talk about all the things, we would be here until tomorrow because you have a lot to say. That is why I told you we have your statement. We have also heard your brother. Select the most important things and you talk about them. And I have given you an outline. Perhaps we should stick to that. That's why now let's talk about what happened when the police arrived. And we stick to my outline so that you can finish.
Ten.
Police on Nadam commanded Banjulunding station or Jumalon Tadan Danko.
They called me to go and report at the Banjulunding police station on Friday. I went there.
Go la kuma follow a man for you.
The first thing they told me was
Gomanza Kunda be feareto, ni Islam Council be Kilentinyadi.
They told me that government is planning so that we will all come and unite with the Supreme Islamic Council.
You and the Supreme Islamic Council would speak on one voice.
Supreme Islamic Council.
Okay, thank you, please.
That's what they want there.
Go to don police ole letter friend ma aigila oruma esa bagila beje e ko yon commande ni akacha.
That was the time they said the police have received a letter and it's with the IG. By that time, Esa Baji was there. They called me so that they want me to sit and discuss with them. They said the Islamic Council said, I am against them and I am defying them. This is why people of the country also defied the council about the sighting of the moon. They asked me whether Gambia and Mecca cannot fast together on the same day. I told them there are two things between us and Mecca. When we want to pray, we can go there. When we face the Qibla, which is in Mecca. When we want to perform the Umrah or Hajj, we go there. When we are going to fast, let's look for the moon. Let's try and sight the moon.
No less your it
was less than 10 minutes what I spent with them.
Afterwards,
I called Lamin Toure. I informed him that, well, the police called me and they said, you people reported me to them. He told me, Lamin Toure told me that, in fact, it was him who took me to the police, and he has written this letter and copied it to every place. I asked him why. He said it's because of the sighting of the moon. He told me that you decided to do a sermon whereby you said that the Gambia and Mecca cannot pray on the same day.
Your knowledge of the role of the Supreme Islamic Council, was it lawful that to be written to the police?
It is a London. For anin loi tata la ban Supreme Islamic Council la carola pour y letter receive attack ça fait ka ki police ole ba.
Ani
Fani loi tata la Supreme Islamic Council ka letter receive ça fait ka ki police ole ba. Fo woni loi tata la ba.
E dolni ya kambenda menna ne imam balanda nyanna ko di la mansalale.
Well, the agreement with Yaya was that any imam who refuses to follow them, well, they will give the matter to Yaya. Because they are following whatever Yaya says.
Are you suggesting that the Supreme Islamic Council was at this point in time an instrument being used by Yaya to propagate, to implement his own ideas as to times of prayer for the Muslims?
Amunta itila imiraro ilaf ikafala ila miraro ya mirako Yaya Jammeh ay Supreme Islamic Council muta ay muta nyame wala nyindi ko ay muta ko atafangola ala fangola diata ay nyame abe kala wala nyama wala ala kuma wala lafta
no for alla jorangole
ala jorangol dema lafta ka ku ye fo fenge ibe kala wala nyama
aka Supreme Islamic Council leta pour na lafita molio sali lum kilongola mol so sali wolingola
Islamic Council la kewate.
Yes, that's what he does with the Supreme Islamic Council.
Nada fola min tude ko akomna nanna mandiam janne ka afo kutubodo nga banni diamuda sunkar tambila ko janne makare sunno la nyola ina dan samba police.
Well, Lamin Trrc said, why didn't I call him before? I told him last year we spoke, and after this year also, after discussing with you, what I said, and now you decided to take me to the police.
Akonna yo fole ko janne makare sunno la nyola.
He said, well, truly, we discussed that we cannot pray with Makkah, but he was convinced and changed by some people.
Mr. Fofana, you are under oath. You are suggesting that Imam Trrc told you that even though he has agreed with you previously that Gambia and Mecca could not be observing prayers on the same day, he has been made to change his mind. This is your testimony.
Mr. Fofana, ibe karola koto. Amunda ike infolo ibe mira kan ko Momod Lamin Trrc abe info kan ko abala hakilo nyim falin ne ka foko atama fo Gambia ning Mecca la salo nyoga atama amo fo hakilo nyim ala miro nya ya falin ne.
Aye wole fondum
sani
ya hakilo
falin.
Ya hakilo falin.
Agala en committee tallulo ako ne karanda dol fana karanda Dr. Mbaynyol beje ako lele ate mandi ngasum makala.
He said among his committee, the 50 people, well, their level of education are more than each other. So people like Dr. Mbai and others decided to convince him.
Adama fo ko yale mandi ba CDC se wala fo yale mandi ani ya fana nala siara katele ko yesum makala.
He himself didn't say that he was changed by Yaya, but CDSC, when I talked with him, he said Yaya convinced him and they decided to change.
Effectively, you are telling us, irrespective of what they said, they were just going with the imposition of Yaya Jammeh. Is that right?
Munda ila faka fu mole ne be koku ke kanu ibe kula ibe membe ke kan wala nyinde Yaya Jammeh men dia ta drong ibe baraka wala no lafta wala no
ha yala dia nyoka barola anin la constitution of Fonado abeje president Fonamu membalati Islam Council do jaman momo ni mo president.
Yes, they were just trying to please Yaya and they were doing what he wanted. And also in their constitution, it was mentioned that the president is a member of the Supreme Islamic Council at any time, or whoever becomes president is a member of the council.
Okay, during this arrest or this request to attend the police, did it have any other consequences on you? Were you beaten? Were you detained?
Muta ronying wala wando yen kanin romenga pour police ole ne kamma fo kabringa ko nyin keta fo anarna kole ya ko sabu malam fo kabri ye sambaje ye lipale bang fo ye kenyadi le bang fo ye toro le kanne bang
ku follow kira 2009 la police olu kola ndadan danko enal fanama baylam tuta kaydula jamal safi.
Well, 2009, apart from going to the police, they also called me at the NIA because Lamin Toure said he copied this letter to many, many places, to many offices. They also questioned me about the same thing, just what I have narrated. And what I told them is the same thing that I said here.
Radio Islam Forum
Well, when I went to take part in a program at the radio called Islamic Forum, I found a letter there telling me that I have been banned or I have been condemned from taking part in that program.
Do you think that who were you told made that decision?
For Jumal Leo Kawin
ha ena ya fanya ko Islam Council na tijan radio fana fanya Islam Council letter kiji.
Well, the NIA told me that it was the Supreme Islamic Council who took this letter to them, and at the radio also they told me the letter came from the Supreme Islamic Council.
Do you believe at the time that the Supreme Islamic Council under its constitution had the authority to ban you from
ila londoro wato la briyo foe itela mira lo ya mera fo Supreme Islamic Council fo yo kan sotole ban ka oke wala kede tong ka ikana ka wandoke
ane ma kan soto bare comme amandal kire ya datin della ina dana men fo do ko banko kan la beta permission ota ko bilen yo fo ngala min to kumandi ako ha itolle le letter kije banen ko bande be mbulal.
Well, what happened was that the Supreme Islamic Council didn't have those powers at that time. But they said they decided to impose this ban because now anybody who wants to preach will have to go to the Supreme Islamic Council and seek permission from them.
You are saying Mr. Lamin Toure, President of the Supreme Islamic Council, told you that any person who was preaching on radio or on television had to have the approval of the Supreme Council. Is that your testimony?
Iba kalola korode Imam Bakaw so ako fo ilafta fala Supreme Islamic Council la nyaton ko mem Mohammed Lamin Toure di ay kango dile ka fo ko momo ni be kawando gela suite be o kono momo be sita Supreme Islamic Council ye kango soto e bulu folo fa be kala radio ti ban fa be kala television ti ban janni be kawando gela fo ilafta ka wala fo ban
ha
yes
mol natna taje menman ko ga ko den ma ko alna do lafra mo fulala bayla radio do hamadialo anamba kawso.
They told people, okay, no problem, you can come, we will give you permission, but there are two people whom we want to ban from television and radio. That's the Ahmadiyya and Bakausu.
So, were you effectively banned?
O 2009, manna radio use, sign Obanda, Dara 2010.
2009, for the rest of the year, I was banned from the radio.
Samba Banda, 2010.
2010, yes.
2010.
Banna salo sida korage amanda salo sale san salo kera fula Bakausu karo ya jame karo wala Bakausu salo Islam Council salo.
Now it became two things. When it was time for the Eid prayers, Tobaski, they now said there are two things, Bakausu's moon and Yaya Jame or the Supreme Islamic Council's moon.
Buru ela kiede ni moli e bodo o e tora ko foku yala Bakausu kan.
Now, because people have really abandoned them, people didn't take orders from them, people didn't believe in them anymore, they said now this is caused by Kawsu. Something has to happen to Bakausu. 2010
na banna salo Lamin Toure nada State House anenko ana Kamelung.
2010, the Tobaski, Lamin Toure decided to go to State House with the full Quran.
Oldi amoda ko ano kale akabe kala Qur'ano la etolde banko be kambendile mo fulale balanda ole banko balandi Dr. Dumbuya ani Imam Toledo Bakausu.
Well, when he went there, he held the Quran and said he is going to swear by the Quran. There are two people in this country who are causing problem, Dr. Dumbuya and Kawsu Fofana.
And this time around, Dr. Dumbuya was included because he gave a sermon in Vibes FM together with another Omar Barrow. Is that right?
Munta nyin tembenna nyin Dr. Dumbuya ay kawando ke radio station do le ka me Vice FM abe kono fana aning modo e ka me Omar Barrow fotonyala.
Omar Fofana.
Omar Fofana.
Not your brother, but the other Omar Fofana.
Baraman ke do ko ma Omar Fofana do le fanam.
Yes.
Dr. Dumbuya ne Omar Kolol Fofana wala nant imam ratu boti wala nay mo bir mbora jang.
Yes.
Kawando ke radio.
Dr. Dumbuya and that Omar Kololi is our imam at our mosque.
Abulay fati yol fana lo kawando ta ayaka kudu boti ayol Dr. Dumbuya ne ayol fana ban radio.
That that preaching they did, Imam Fati took that also and he insulted Dr. Dumbuya, and what they preached, he decided to say that it's bad.
Could you take that again?
Hello. Amurun kambang
Bere Dr. Dumbuya ne Omar Fofana e be radio to telephone nali nyinenka fonne makasi sunno nyola Dr. Dumbuya kata keno la fonne nila karjo benda Abulay fati o kumole samba ke kudubodi ay Dr. Dumbuya kaja fi kudubodo fo ya jamme ko Dr. Dumbuya kana diamu radio to o fana data wala fe ane Omar Fofana.
When they were doing this program, people were calling. It was a phone-in program. People asked Dr. Dumbuya whether we can pray on the same day along with Mecca. Dr. Dumbuya said, no, we cannot. So Imam Fati took that and did a sermon on it. He insulted Dr. Dumbuya, and he took the matter to Yaya. And that was the time when Yaya also said, Dr. Dumbuya should be banned. He shouldn't speak over any radio anymore.
Okay, let's get it clear. Who instituted the ban? You have told us that Yaya Jammeh ordered that they be banned. Who wrote the letters to ban Fofana and Dumbuya?
Jumale fango ni letter ro ni safe puru ni Dumbuya anin Umar puru ye tong. Katu ya folo ko Yaya Jammeh wole kango di puru ye ban. Sa jumale fango ye letter ro ni safe puru ni mo fulo ni puru ye tongo le kan ikana ban ikana kawando ke jama dinkiral.
Bene Abulay kudubo ke Dr. Dumbuya la jamondo ya Jammeh ko nyimo si fal fon Canadian radio e matata ke letter.
Well, after this happened, there was no letter written. Yaya gave this order verbally and said that Dr. Dumbuya should not be allowed anymore to speak at any other radio station.
The commission has received a statement from Omar Kololi Fofana. He indicated that the radio station told him that the Supreme Islamic Council informed them that he should not be allowed on the radio.
Ay tandi yo ala kuma kan ramendi commission ja ay tandi je ko ay kibar le soto membota Supreme Islamic Council bulu kay tan ka fa ko akana kawando ke radio station o nyinto.
So he went to the Supreme Islamic Council to get his permit.
Atata Supreme Islamic Council pour kala permito soto.
And it was refused.
I balanta la pour ka permito dia la pour asita kawando la.
Were you aware of this information?
Inkibaro ni yo ibota kala malaba.
Beren yala ne ya kuma fo fologe prake officiality etol si letter safino.
Well, whenever Yaya gives such orders, before it becomes official, they used to write a letter based on Yaya's statement.
So you are therefore saying that it was the Supreme Islamic Council that implemented Yaya Jammeh's order to have these two people banned.
Amunta elafta ka foko Supreme Islamic Council wolle be fannala katara Yaya Jammeh la kangonin ka o tamanda atoyala pour kany mo fulta ke tongo me Yaya Jammeh bandro tongo me Yaya Jammeh afa pour ikana kawandoke pour yo layika.
Yes.
Proceed, please.
Tende.
Tan bene la ntura ko ni imam fulole balande ko anotake wolon funa ko anotake Yaya Jammeh na de jabi menna ako nga sembo di alla sanjilulu Islam Council alman dino raklendino sonko be siare banko kan.
Then that was the day after Imam Toure swore by the Quran. Yaya told them, I gave you all powers for 5 years, but still you cannot do anything. You cannot bring the people together. You cannot unite the people of the country. Now, you people, where do you stand?
Yaya Jammeh ko sa ngalo kon kelendi ala janne jumanala nalman banko la dina problemo rakle mbenda kala je.
He told them, now I am giving you 1 week. Before next Friday, if you cannot unite the people, you cannot solve this Islamic problem in the country.
How do you know this information?
I was listening to this.
Proceed, please.
Islam Council meeting la ego be kambende ko dino man problem mote jang ba Kawsu doro.
Well, on a Monday, they decided to convene a meeting at the Supreme Islamic Council. They said there is no problem in this country. The only person causing problems and trouble in this country is Kawsu.
How do you know this?
They called me and told me this.
Who told you?
Nisi ben wala kira arami soti ba ya jame jumola dila poro kakacha bankola karkuola anala dina problem wala.
They wrote to me because Yaya gave them Friday, so they decided to write a letter to me and tell me to meet with them on a Thursday so that we can once for all decide about this sighting of the moon and come to terms.
Arami salo nada ben talan konondo wato.
On Thursday, around 9 o'clock, we met and they said, we are going to meet only, I am going to meet only the people of the council. But at the meeting, people who turned up there were more than 200. In fact, it was close to 300. They said they decided to call these people because of me. They told me 4 things. They said I should agree to that. They said I am not well educated. Whatever I preach is a lie. And they have the right, and I'm always on falsehood. And I'm always brewing trouble in the country.
Who brought out these 4 issues?
It was Lamenture at that meeting.
We have a video of this meeting. We won't show it now. The commission would view it and they would check whether all these things you're saying are in fact on the video. You understand that?
Allah meeting on nga video soro first soro janne. Silango video nyimba kango dila puri yo video nyimpile ka jube ngalamu yala.
Perhaps hold a second. Was this your meeting with the Supreme Islamic Council alone, or was it the meeting with the Supreme Islamic Council and the President?
For meeting on Yaka Menokmo, for meeting in Supreme Islamic Council Damai, Mensorama for meeting the Mealonco, in Supreme Islamic Council, and Yaya Jamefan Kunu Mensorava. I get a meeting full out, need all the follow meeting or Kola Yajam. There were 2 meetings. The first meeting was between myself and the members of the Supreme Islamic Council. The second was between myself, the Supreme Islamic Council, and Yaya.
And it is this first meeting in which they listed these 4 issues, that you are not learned, you are always on the wrong when they are on the right, and so forth. Is that the meeting you're just talking about?
Meeting wala kumovo jeldo ikafo ko ikoita mankarang anu ikatu fitino la boende la drong ilak dia ka skawando bega ka fitina ko de ban fo ibo meeting wala kumovo. Yes, that's the meeting I'm talking about.
And in that meeting, did they make any decision against you?
O meeting dingiranya no fa inara na ku sabati ndila ku woto la ban be men kele la ban.
By meeting on Tiloboya, Kumasudon, Bill Manson, Bill Talankono, for Talan Alansaro, Manson, Banero Lanka.
Well, we started the meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. We were there till 5 o'clock, and I still didn't agree with them. I defied them. Then that's the day when they decided to put this ban on me.
Okay, but amongst the accusations they made against you, did it include the suggestion that you make inflammatory statements against or insulting statements against certain ethnic groups, including the Jola?
Apo kono tumiro le melle kan fo imanyi mweje igafko je ko ila kawando fanan kono ikakuma tilimbalo la nikuma noro ikatiol ne mela ko Jola le fanan iko fo malaba.
Meeting odo bere yan commande meeting odo.
When I was called for this meeting,
go nal le fra kaira la nal te man be sondi.
I said, if you want peace between me and you, I'll agree. Let's open a new file and forget what has passed. Ablai Fati got up again. The man called Imam Fati.
Was he a member of the Supreme Islamic Council or not?
Fo ate Imam Abdullah Fati amu Supreme Islamic Council kafo dingol ti bang fo amanke kafo dingol ti.
Mo kafo dingol ate mara den banko la kawande ko la kafo kon.
Yes, he's a member, and in fact he was responsible for preaching affairs in the country.
Another for akonda ko banafate nyinenka ku kilenna.
He said the meeting will not be concluded without him asking me about one thing.
Monana ka jola lunne.
Why do you insult the Jola tribe?
Walle ka diamu ka jola luma.
Or you always talk about the Jolas?
Ngaite jola tim mandara jola ku kono mbe karo nen kayra kolero.
I told him, you are not a Jola, and we are not discussing about a Jola issue here. We are talking about the moon.
But is it true that in your preaching, you used to say unpleasant things about the Jolas?
Fo tonyale nyinti ban ika idaltale kafo ila kawandol kono ika kumal fo miano kuma nori ngol den jola la ko ba.
Not just the Jolas,
ana manke jola alfa
all other ethnic groups for that matter.
Si kota ngol la karola ba.
Dafa ko fula be jam namnan nen diroke namnan kal naman kal len de namnan kal. Mbeka nen de mbeka kal ke mbeka le park.
Me, apart from this sitting here, I swore by the Quran. But I am somebody who doesn't insult, who doesn't swear, and I don't beat people. I don't even beat women, and I don't insult people.
Do you tell the Jolas that they are not learned in the Quran? That they don't know Islam?
I used to talk about all tribes, Mandinkas, Wolofs, Jola, and all tribes.
But do you agree that by talking to the tribes or various ethnic groups directly, some of the things you say may be viewed as insensitive?
Fo ibe sonna nyinnel fanam ko ila kawando wijo nyin kono wato do ni kela kawando fo ke nyatil ndi sio dolla fo ibe sonna nyinno ko akake kuma kangande mi alon ko kuma kande mi alon ko manke kuma kan sobede siol ka.
No, that's not true.
Would you agree that sometimes you say certain things that may be viewed as condescending to some of the ethnic groups or outright insults?
Fo e person nanyim mala fana wato do fana ko ka kawandol di andu ila kawandol ni jube e ka ke kuma kannati ka ke kuma kan kolnati siol kan
kuma do koleata to nyala mo amanke nendirti.
Well, there are certain words which can be deemed as hard or spoken words, but they are not insults.
And some of those hard words that you use may sometimes be viewed as offensive by the ethnic groups that you talk about.
Ari wato do kuma kan kolawol ni ka o melfo siol dolla modol keje nyaale nyama ka fa ko kumuna kan de malon ko kuma kan kolawol o siol kan foto nyande
wala karo jolal la karo milite kilin ato sila jolal yan commande conference wala foni.
Well, about the Jola tribe, it will be less than a minute. They called me for a conference in Fonyi.
We are not talking about them calling you for a conference. The question is, have you ever said things that the tribes at which you have directed your statements may feel that what you're saying is offensive?
Anke kawando la kuoro de meitara menna conference wala itara menna Fonyi. Nka men fo nyinde fo siol kono. Inana ka kawandi kala wango fo ka o siol nyinyi yenaje ifanto ko ite ka kawandol ke nyame ngaka kuma kan ne malon ko kuma kan dimindi ngol lay to la karola
mo sio banko jama ni banko sala kan safa a dimida bay to nyalo.
Well, what they usually say is, but Kawsu, what he said is really painful, but it is the truth. That's what they say. Whether it's Jola or any other tribe.
And these insensitive statements that you make can engender problems, don't you think?
Kuma kan nka wandi sivala ni kay kuma kan sival me alon ko ekefo me alon ko kuma kan kuma amanke kuma kan kalsare ngolde nyasi yo do nyawe asi fitino wuluno le fo den to nyaade mo
nada non kuma kan man kalsa den na fitino wulende bay ka kalsare.
But if they were not the hard truth, well, it would have brewed serious trouble. But whatever I say are always truth.
But even the truth, when you speak the truth, you also have to be measured. You have to exercise discretion as a religious leader. Don't you think that is a responsibility?
Then ya for me no be fitna na dan ko akra bala fitna kumati.
Well, the person you addressed or the tribe you addressed, if they take it as offensive, you will quarrel with them. They will even be very angry with you.
In fact, that is why someone almost chased you with a cutlass, one of the jolas. Is that true?
That never happened.
Well, it's been said here, and your brother accepted, that there was a jola who almost attacked you with a cutlass because you said things that were offensive to the jolas. That was an accusation made against you.
Me ya fo usaso do branjeju ako akeda ba manja ndunga ngake kawando telebulolla.
Well, the person who said
the
person who said this was Ibrahim Ajeju, but this was during daytime. But not even a single person ever called me to tell me you have offended me or you have offended us. It has never happened.
But you, Kawsu, sitting here before the commission, would you accept that preachers in this country should exercise discretion and not stoke tribal problems and not say things that would cause or that would upset the social cohesion that we have in this country?
Silang ite ba Kawsu ite fele sirin komiso ngoni nyati no jam fo ilafta ka fa ko mo ni be kawando kala inyente la kawandi ke nyaal mi alon ko abe fitno wuluna fo manyana kawa ibe kawando inyana kawando kala nyaal mi alon ko abe tankuni sabe tankuni kairo sabatindi la banko kanjang fo
mi tan dunya kono walla kawan la be mo la kawando man si anderi e mam mo la kawando kanon teti.
Well, if you can check in the world today, especially in the Gambia, people liked my preaching more than anybody else. But people have their own judgment or their own mind.
I accept. Hold a second. We understand your rationale for doing what you're doing. What you are being asked, whether you accept that as a preacher, someone who many people listened to, you have a responsibility to ensure that you do not say things that will cause strife in this country.
No, that never happened. But what I say, some people try to tease other people about it to make them angry. So that's also a possibility.
Well, I am not getting the best translation. And I cannot say this in Mandinka. My Mandinka is so limited, unfortunately. But let's leave the issue.
Sorry. Let him repeat it and you listen properly.
I just want you to understand whether, or you make us understand, whether you accept that as a preacher, you have a responsibility to ensure that you do not say things that would cause strife in this country, that would cause problems in this country.
Ako, fo etebe kawando menna, fo nyi manya na kelela lonkuntu dunoti ka foko, nibe kawando la inyanta kawando kela nyalema, mente molu kamfandila isi kawandi nyake me yalonko, wala be molu kambendila kairo sabatindi bankoka.
No. I think, Musu, can you help?
Ngamira mim fo wolem itala mira loto imu kawandi la minti ila mira loto fo ite a mira ko nin kawandi la be kawando kala anyanta ka ke silala mi yalon ko abe tenkungole sabatindi la banko kan ate fitino kala banko kan
wala nyanna kala
That's what should happen.
Thank you very much. But you were accused of saying things that will cause problems in the country, say against the Jolas or against the Fullers, for instance. That is an accusation that was made against you.
Nimu tumir me alon ko yoro fo kan ko ete ka kawando ke nyama ka nyala ti me alon ko aka siol kan fan le fulol lemban fo jola lemban ni te yake e ke tol fawol fole wo ka sabu ka kamfa ka duyi kono.
No, that is not what I said. I just said that he was accused of insulting the Jolas and the Fullers during his sermons. That was another accusation.
Nga fo sidia ani Islam council ya lon kamoto fo kawandora anen kamonen e fadatale.
I told Sidia, in preaching, to insult somebody and to call somebody's name are two different things.
So you deny having insulted any of these tribes, including the Mandinkas?
Amunda ya so sole ko nyin siol be ngay mem foteng on ningol be okono ko imite meneng.
Yes.
You are also accused of insulting the president.
And ye tu minyi na fana ko president ya nenne.
I deny that too.
And for these reasons you were banned.
Amunda udali lolo kamme na tongole kan.
San biro kera jolien tong.
After that, they banned me.
San nada ya safi letter wala na si fulan jang sodoro.
Then later, after the ban, I wrote a letter to Yaya.
What did you say in the letter?
Letter on yindo amuna fudi yamuna foje.
Letter from be jang ngamen fo Yaya ndaga kawando ke banko ka lungo be.
Well, what I told Yaya is that I do preaching every day in this country.
Nga ke radio do sa de momo be kala mo.
I preach over the radio, villages, and many people listen to it. But if you want me personally to come and attend your gathering for preaching, it's sometimes difficult. Now they've banned me. People who benefit from my preaching and my teachings will now fail to get those things. I teach people about a lot of things, a lot of different books, which is not Islamic Council's business. Can I continue with that or stop there? Because this is for the benefit of the community. That was the time when Yaya replied and called me to go and sit at a meeting with him. And he called the council to come and sit down so that we can all meet. The reason for this meeting, according to Yaya, was to come and unite us so that we will put aside all these differences and be one voice. He asked about the sighting of the moon. I narrated just what I narrated here, and it was on a cassette, and he was able to listen to it. Then he told the Islamic Council to speak. Abdullah Fati started talking. He said, we are not having problems with Kawsu because of Islam or because of the sighting of the moon. The problem between us and Kawsu is that he insults you, the president. He insults your tribe, the Jola tribe. If the Jolas didn't get any other son except you, Yaya, that alone is enough for them. He said a lot of things there just to make Yaya Jammeh angry. You know that the man who does preaching to incite people and to make people angry is Abdullah Fati. He takes power from Yaya and insults anybody he wants to insult. Abdullah Fati insulted all tribes in this country. He insulted all religions in this country. If you want to ask who is the man, the leading person who insults people in this country when preaching, there is nobody more than Abdullah Fati. He once did a sermon and insulted Yaya Jammeh himself about women covering themselves. He, in fact, one of his sermons, he insulted tribes here, saying that there is a tribe in this country who doesn't get circumcised, and said their mothers have not been circumcised, and he named the Wolof tribe. The insults that he heaped on this Wolof tribe and other is even more than the insults.
Let us make progress about the things that happen.
And he later said that it is Bakausu who insults people.
We have the video. We will take a look at it. And you've seen your brother testify. That is a video that was showed during that hearing. How did that meeting end?
Then at the end of the meeting, Yaya said, now, everything is finished. Let them lift the ban on me. Now, the thing will be left between Yaya and Bakausu. He will listen to Bakausu, and whatever happens will be between him and Bakausu. Then after I left there, they wrote a letter to me telling me that the ban has been lifted.
Who wrote the letter?
The Islamic Council.
And what else happened after that? Did it all end well for you?
Yes.
2010, 2011 problem mansoro.
2010, 2011 there was no problem.
2012 problem that correct.
Again 2012 the problems started.
What happened this time?
Insilado ablay kote ke inatna report ke ba council ablay fati kurubo ke 18 May.
Ablay Fati did a sermon on the 18th of May
2012.
2012
Yala Jumoro
at the State House Mosque.
Ko ba council nyanna mutala nyanna torala kuma jama fa ba council ma.
Saying that Bakausu should be arrested, they should punish him, he should be disciplined. He said a lot about Bakausu.
Koma dalta nyana du ya jame bulu ya kam decision te kan.
Just as he used to do, he will incite Yaya Jammeh to make him angry about somebody so that they'll do harmful things to me.
May 31st in Adana Muda.
Then I was arrested on May 31st.
Okay, Aram sorry.
On a Thursday.
May say okay Jumoti in Adambula.
They released me on the 8th of May on a Thursday. Making 9 days.
Who arrested you?
Jumalle arrest.
Kabana State House.
Well, the people came from State House.
Do you know the name of the person?
Marini Yalon Bang.
Yakuba Baji.
The man who led them was Yankuba Baji.
And where were you taken when you were arrested?
I was taken to the NIA office in Banjul.
And you were there for how many days?
9 days.
And what did they do to you while you were at the NIA?
I was beaten. And they broke my finger. Well, according to what Usman Sonko said, my finger was broken by Yaya Jammeh himself.
How did that happen?
When I was being beaten.
Did Yaya Jammeh personally participate in your torture?
He was the chairman and the boss of those who were beating me.
And because you're suggesting that because he was the superior or the commander of those who broke your hand, therefore he is responsible for breaking your hand. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Interview akoba Kawsu hakilo ba mala nga fo me bosi ba gedo academy kasin college
But afterwards, Usman Sonko went out of the country. They interviewed him. That's where he narrated this. And in fact, at the end of the interview, he said he belongs to the Kasinka tribe.
Ba ka fonye ka jolalo kasinkolo mandinkolo ida kar jolal ni be kan ba fala jolalo a konte mu kasinkolo ni mo jolade ita mandinko ni mo nyende bodon aka fonye fan sanaw nka fan sanaw kasinka yakan.
Well, as far as they termed me as a Kasinka, they decided to make me their bantamate. He used to call me Nsanau. Nsanau means a bantamate in Mandinka. So that's how they used to address me after the whole thing.
So could you recall who else participated in your torture apart from Usman Sonko?
Ninga bora Usman Sonko la. Fo yakilo samuro no jumala moko tan jumala fana mabete la liparit dinkira nyinto.
Esiara by bedi bolo kono.
There were plenty because it was dark.
Ani awado do fon la frase kas malala pour dimba beketo dimba malo kanda nyadaje ya bulole pa pour kanda mo nyada sure.
One of them in fact wanted to smoke a cigarette. When he took out a lighter to light his cigarette, they beat his hand so that because the light or the flame from the lighter might reveal his face. This is why they struck his hand so that that lighter will not, he will not be able to put on the lighter.
How many people participated in your torture as far as you can recall?
Yakilo samura no. Mo jellel mabete la liparit laro. Yakilo samura no.
Ela siasi motansile ela kurbo la sia.
Yeah, they might go up to 10 people.
And what type of beating did they do to you?
Yamul liparisiva la kela.
Okolo ane pipolu.
Some used sticks, some were using pipes.
Anenka fongolo blanco la mbusi jamalo.
And some were putting nylon bags over my head.
Anenka kan deten sinya jamala.
And some were trying to strangle me. They did that several times. Things like that.
Give us a sense of what would happen in a typical day when they would torture you.
Silang, for sim sampulo di non nya ning ayatra be lipagan tilo nyala mala kol ka kenyadi le.
Ke lande kono la tang ye bongolo singo kan singo lo blokan ani singo lo pour kana mamman pour bele parle pana doko bende dam do fe.
What they do is they will put you down on your stomach. You will lie down on your stomach. Some will stand on your legs. Some will stand on your hands so that they will have free way. They will beat you anywhere on your body.
Normally, what time would these torture sessions take place?
In liparo nying aka tilo nyala ma aka ke wata jumalla.
Sudo
mostly at night. Around 3 a.m.
And how would it happen? Tell us, you are in your place of detention. Tell us how it would happen, how the session would unfold.
Afonye, ibe karo waro ikatare la dingirado yimura damendo yimu wala yi detain damendo. Afonye silan liparo nyi wicho nyinga aka nyadile ka ke nyadile.
Ngada se lokono nen sudo sira isinambondi akira telefulate telekono dokono adam salum follow and arjumalum follow.
Well, I used to be in the cell. So late at night they will come and take me out of the cell at night. It happened to me on the first Friday and the first Thursday.
And when they would come and pick you up around 3 or 4 a.m., what would they do?
Sila nina te noma suto talan sabakata fo talan nanikang. Ke samba dingirado beli para damendo e kamuneke.
I just leave myself with them.
Do they remove your clothes?
Foi kela dum fengol bondi laba.
Ani?
No.
But then kabal ni nawlo bilen dato yolo bole.
But my big shirt and my head, my head cover were taken from me.
You mean his gown?
His gown and my head cover were taking me from the gate.
But they don't strip you naked during the torture?
Ani?
No.
Do they use any instruments on you?
The
first day they used sticks. Then after that, the second day and on, they used pipes.
Did they ever electrocute you?
What is the
No, they never did that to me.
So it was only use of plastic bags over your head?
Yes.
For how long would they have this plastic bag over your head?
Many cases when they do that, the nylon bag becomes torn. And when it is torn, they remove it and bring another one.
But while they are doing this, would they ask you any questions?
Yes, when I get up after the beating, when I'm sitting down, they'll come and start asking me.
What kind of questions would they ask you?
Why do you call Yaya Jammeh Banjul Mansa? That means the king of Banjul. Is he not the president of the whole country?
The king of the whole country.
The king of all the country. I told them even Allah is called the king of Lares. And when the white man was here, they used to call them Banjul Mansa. They tell me, would you change your way of preaching? Or how you are operating? Because you used to always talk about Yaya Jammeh in your sermons. I told them, I don't touch him. I don't say anything about him. It is Yaya who decides to take my sermons and preaching as his own. If you do something wrong and somebody decides to preach about it, then it is your fault. Those are the type of questions they ask me.
And for these torture sessions, with all this beating, how would you respond? How would you react to these beatings?
I always leave myself with them.
And the impact of the beating on you?
Well, what happened to me is that the pain on my body, general body pain, and they broke my finger too, that also used to pain me.
Have you ever passed out during any of the torture sessions?
No,
with
the help of Allah, we never reached that level.
Have you, what type of injuries did you suffer apart from your broken finger?
No,
my body was, there was no wound on my body.
Did you have any lacerations?
No, I had no deforms on my body.
How did you feel when you were being tortured?
When they are beating me, sometimes I used to laugh. And when they slap me before the other slap, I used to laugh. When they beat me hardly, I used to laugh. Because I don't want to be angry. Because we are talking about Allah. When, if it becomes painful to Allah, well, that will not be a peace for them. After they left here, the body pain all went to Yaya Jammeh. During those days, it was Yaya Jammeh who was seeking medical treatment because he has money. But I didn't go for any medical treatment.
You were that powerful?
Well, I don't cry. And when they were doing all this torture to me, I used to laugh. And when I laugh,
but what happened to the finger? You allowed it to be broken?
Well, later on, that's what I realized. But somebody got hold of my finger and turned it around and around. Well, after that, that was also the end of Yaya's chair.
And was it swollen, the finger? Was it swollen?
Yes, it's like that. Because when we are doing jihad, you have to show something to Allah in the next world to be the proof of your jihad.
You were released after 9 days.
Munda trikono to kola inara nebula.
Ha inara mbula.
How many times were you tortured? Twice or more?
Wati jellen si inubeli bakang sinya fula bang.
Sinya fula. Aramso njumo.
Yes, twice, on Thursday and on Friday.
And when you were being released, were you asked to make any undertakings?
Bri bula ka be kasai kangota ko be bula la. Fo inara na fo ye sartol taba.
Ane bile mbula.
No, when I was released,
yambula ne belela.
I was released on a bail.
They
told me to be coming to report.
Okay. And were you subsequently rearrested?
June
on the 8th.
August 15 another modern correct.
Okay, on the 15th of August they came back again.
But
I was still on the bail and I used to report there every Monday. On a Tuesday at night, Yankuba Baji led a team to my home. That day, a lot of them came and they were all masked. I was at the mosque. They found me at the mosque. Some of them, in fact, even prayed behind me. Later, after the prayers, it was that time that Yankuba Baji told me that they said, let us come for you. I told them, oh, today you want to kill me? He said, no, he was breaking his fast when they called him and told him, go and collect Imam. He said, because I am a respected elderly man, this is why he decided to lead the team himself. But had it been for somebody else, he has other people whom he can send to go and arrest. Because they stood at every place, they surrounded my compound. This is why those even who prayed with me were afraid. Some remained inside the mosque. I told them, can you excuse me to perform ablution? He said he will give me that chance. Apart from Yankuba, him alone, nobody will be aware. I will just go and answer and come back. When I came out of the house, my younger brother Omar and others asked me. I told them these people are from the NIA. They want me to go with them to Banjul. Then they decided to explain and their fear to me. I told Yankuba that the first arrest, when you came, you told me that it was going to be peaceful. There was no peace. Today also, you are telling me that there will be peace. Now, what's going to happen? He said, this one also is going to be peaceful. But my people were afraid of them. And at that time, I had already got information from some of them that they will arrest me again. And it can be postponed or it can be cancelled. Because it was the president who told Yankuba to come and arrest me. But Yankuba told the president that those people who are trying to mix you up with the president, Kawsu has no problem. If the NIA had agreed to what he said, they wouldn't have come to arrest me. But people like Ablai and other people.
Ablai who?
Ablai Fati.
Ablai Fati, they are the people who just try to tell things to Yaya Jammeh which will make him angry against me.
So these problems you are getting with Yaya Jammeh, these are things incited by Abdullah Fati or problems you have had with the Supreme Islamic Council? Let's clarify that.
Sila, ning problem o me alon be abening Yaya Jammeh tema. Fonyi mukulete me yalon ko Abdoulaye Fati wala ka dun kumo dun yaya jamme da kono fo fitino men problème me ya soro ni Supreme Islamic Council fo wala dun problème ko no fo ye mutaban nyim fulor nye pesa ba nga jube
sanji folo ko data Islam Council la Lamin Touré.
At the beginning of the reigns, the first time, it started with Lamin Touré, president of the Supreme Islamic Council.
Abdoulaye Fati la sembo na wara Lamin Touré te fitno kon.
But later on, Abdoulaye Fati was the leader of the people who were brewing trouble.
Anara ke Lamin Touré fele.
Later on, Lamin Touré, in fact, regretted.
And biren ka mana yen samba police ni kambenda konde sunno la makala akonga ta do alla fang o suba ba telephone na tala woro dasra mitanelul aga ka do antele pro ko kanan soro.
Then I asked Lamin Touré, after agreed that it's true that we cannot spray the same day with Saudi, then why did you take me to the police? He said by the time I called him, he was praying for me so that nothing will happen to me.
But
he said after he looked at things and the signals he saw, I might find myself in harm. So this is why he regretted for what he did.
Adenara ya sembo warandi ay lamentura sembo warandi ay councilor sembo warandi susundiroto Abdoulaye Fati.
Then when Abdoulaye Fati took up things, he was the guy who was instigating the whole members of the council against me. He was instigating Yaya against me because he said he was responsible for dawah in this country. So this is why he stood up and tried by all means to make these other people stand against me.
Abdoulaye Afa comme mo ka ba Kawsu Islam Council be nyala ko ani ako hanade kilendoron akanyanda be men kelentela mbo jela adela marta banko la dawala.
Abdoulaye said people used to say that Kawsu is having problems with the Supreme Islamic Council. Abdoulaye said no, he alone is it is enough for him alone to deal with me. Okay. Whatever he's going to do to me, people will see that.
And on that particular occasion when the NIA came headed by Yankuba Baji, were they able to arrest you?
Yankuba Baji nara janala NIA do kulal kapur kane arrest fo nyala bawni nara ne arrest la banke sambaba
ane beren donda bongo fendira.
No, when I went into the house and I came out,
de amo alabula akasara falela de la kumala bon la bando la moyla.
What I heard them saying was that leave him. He's going to take permission from his father. That was the last thing I heard. Well, the main gate was on the western side. My father's house is on the eastern side of the compound. When that happened, Yankuba, people who were there to pray, everybody, they all calmed down. Well, it might go up to 10 minutes or even more than that. That's the time when Yankuba said, well, we have time, we have to walk by time. He went into my father's house and asked him, where is Kawsu? My father told him that Kawsu is at the mosque. Because my father is suffering from high blood. He had already gone to bed. But when he told Yankuba that I am at the mosque, they told him that, well, he has left the mosque. He said he was coming to take permission from you. He told them, well, I haven't seen him. They looked everywhere in the compound. They were looking even under my father's bed. That's the time when Yankuba said, well, he has disappeared.
Did you sneak out?
They put light on. They checked everywhere in the compound.
Did you sneak out of the compound?
Yes, they said I disappeared. Well, these things started a long time ago. Since at the time that they were torturing me. When they were torturing me, I was with Allah. Allah came since at that time. Allah came a long time ago. because since they were torturing me, I could have died, but nothing happened to me. It was because of Allah. Because I am a big marabu. So I was with Allah all the time until this day. That was the day that Allah decided for me to disappear.
Are you suggesting that you disappeared into thin air?
Alo moriado ane alala moyado enyamaje ibulo manfudama hanekati moriado omo kundindi.
Well, there's something very small on the way that marabous do. We are big marabous, but to disappear is something very, very small. In the ways of marabous.
What happened the first time around? You forgot?
Busadula ala be jere anen ka jibe fonyolo e be mudala fode ba me da fala sanji mo ya jame ba ko sumala dol ba fa ma ballen kana ma dol ba fala fende ama wala ko fon mende birana ba ka suma awanya tate ani men ka ama ani men ka kana ma.
Well, this was a test because for 20 years this was going on, and they were saying Kawsu is an untouchable, but I decided to wait my time and abide my time. Until this time, they decided to take action. So I was with Allah all along until this thing happened.
But he broke your finger.
Yes, that it has been exchanged with something. Because the chair he was sitting on has broken. He is now... And he beat me on my body, but the pain ended on him.
And after you disappeared, you did not stay to witness what would happen afterwards, did you?
Ani?
You ran away from the country.
I did 2 days. I spent 2 days in the country.
And then you ran away thereafter.
Mendy came. Mendy happens to be Yankuba's boss. Mendy takes orders from Yaya Jammeh. When I was with them, they told Mendy that we have seen Kawsu, we are coming with him. When he calls them, they didn't talk, they don't take the phone. Finally, Yankuba received a call from Mendy and told Mendy that we've seen him, he was with us here, but he has disappeared. That's the time when Mendy told Yaya Jammeh, they have seen him. But he prayed 2 rakas and disappeared.
But did you really pray 2 rakas?
Yes.
When you said after the ablution, you said you were going to your father. That is when you disappeared. So at what point did you do the 2 rakas?
No, it was in my house.
Even they were
following me even into my house. No, we were very close to each other. When I went into my house, they followed me in. I was performing ablution, they were seeing me. When I came and stood in the middle of the compound, that's why. When Yankuba said he has disappeared, Yaya Jammeh told Mendy, go there.
Mendy mayalon ba Yaya Jammeh jefa ka ni boda ba ko de essentiel ne ko fro sila kilon tabo jamo ba ka sila ko damol.
Yaya Jammeh knows your home.
Yeah.
Adele jefa Mendy.
He informed Mendy about my compound.
Mendy nada argo ba ka usule.
Mendy came and asked, where is Kawsu?
Ga ko atejang.
They told him he's not around.
Sa Yakuba la nyem ko mo be ko va disappear.
So what Yankuba said, that's what everybody was saying. He has disappeared.
Akala number ko telephone to jang.
Because his number, they said he left his phone here.
Akaba my ka ba to jang.
They asked for my mom, they said his mother is not around.
Akala musol wol kom fele jang.
When they asked for my wife, they said, here we are.
Aga fama ka fama be jang.
They asked for my father, they said his father is here.
Ruwada so be faru mola signol be nara.
But at that time, the compound was completely full. All the neighbors came around.
Mendi ko bay ko tele domo ba Kawsu.
Mendy told my father, Kawsu is your son.
Aka ya jamelen kiya akobi mu kidimo de ngana hakke dane ka hakko bo ndi nyoy.
He told my father that Yaya Jammeh sent me. Today is Kitim, so that I can come and apologize to Kawsu.
Ko men be kala sa be bandale.
Whatever has ever happened is now finished.
Ya ta mala fana kana molto fo kawando da nen siyolo.
Yaya will not touch him anymore, but let him also stop talking about other people and tribes in his sermons and preaching.
Mendela kumo dandor.
That's where Mendy ended.
Wakera mo jamal men nyala.
That happened in the presence of a lot of people there.
Wallada ko mo kairaldi.
They believe that, well, this thing is now peaceful.
Bar Yakuba nyola na wadi follow kera men nyala.
But Yankuba and his people, the first time they arrived,
Ani e masko nyamen dolol be sonkandin dol bala.
and the way they put on their masks, some of them were stinking with alcohol.
Wolko ko manke kairadi.
They said there is no peace here.
Amunda nyon ko fulo fo kairal fo kairande.
These two things, whether it's peace or not peace,
Wala na dolgo findo kana taria.
so that's why some said, let's not go out quickly.
Anduna ni finde dunga kana akola.
Because if they go out, coming back into the compound will be very difficult for them.
Ne mendela kumola mo amanjare findi.
If it is about Mendy, there's no need for them to go out.
Ba Yakuba ni men nara no la action ola isi findi.
But Yakuba and the others who came together, if it's about only those people, then you can go out.
Moltarta kumola kono.
That's what people were discussing.
Wala sabu ngatile fulake jannen ka findi.
This is why I spent 2 days before leaving the country.
Ndefona ra sukura jamme telephone.
I called Sukuta Jammeh personally.
Bayan kata wala sukura jamme Yakuba Mendi
Because Sukuta Jammeh, Yakuba and Mendy
ya jamme.
and Yaya Jammeh.
Ba ena wala director olon numo kujabilam.
But that day, Numo Kujabi was the director of the NIA.
Ngo sukura ko mune beje sukura ka malon amambo mutaro kalama ko bi nyanna mutala.
I asked Sukuta what's happening there. He said he was not even aware that I was to be arrested that day.
Ba doko amanjare ngabori.
He told me there is no need for you to run.
Nga ba lundo ndia taranka na tan yinda fi ndia amada taranka radio molia.
He told me, I told him that, but there was a day when the Taranga FM people came and interviewed me.
Ngombe men fula ya jame kana karanaluma.
What I told Yaya Jammeh, what I was also trying to make him understand is that let him leave educated people alone.
Ngami salo ke bankol la meni la karanalma ko meni bankol soro.
I gave him examples of countries where the governments did very bad things to their educated people and what later happened in those countries.
Amman sanyol wati amman banko dol wati.
Well, it was very bad for those leaders and it was also bad for the countries.
Olon sugura jamme ko ako atol kola solo nal ndar mbal butelal.
That was the day when Sukuta Jammeh told me, you scholars, if you don't leave the government alone, we are going to beat you people.
Akonye ko fen tiol le selende bunjan sando bare ne me fanyo fen wulen tiol non na de kamay bida la kiral.
He told me it is people wearing black who took you up this story building. But when the red people wearing red, the day they come for you, you are going to the next world that day.
Ngo sukura ko korea me biela fen wulen tiol la manna ko bentita la kira.
I told Sukuta, well, I hope your people who wear red are not the people around here. Maybe I hope I'm not going to die today.
And you call follow kirale parole na fulanja no bege farode ya mira bi farole nteba.
I told him that you said the first day is going to be beating. And the second time is going to be killing. Am I not going to be killed? Am I going to be killed today?
And no mo kuja fana fa ko kadlela ko mo sambala nanjan.
And Numo Kujabi also said they always bring your reports here.
Akobanila ko fra jan ko bida buku fon bankola buku fon beto kelawol.
But if they report you here again, I'll put your name in the black book.
Ga me beta kelawol te bang.
I told him, I hope that's not going to happen today.
No na si onata na banko bula.
Then after that, he left the country.
Na molu ko ko Omar nyolo ko mba sude la bay mo bele ba Kawsu ate kana nol me bodal be mudala.
Then my people and Omar, they said, well, we know Kawsu, he will not go. And they said they are going to control all the border areas of the country. He will not be able to leave the country.
All na rade ko sa ni amuda bodo be kala ngai bolti.
My people became very worried, saying that if they catch me at the border,
so what happened?
I told them he was present, he was unable to arrest me.
So you disappeared again? And since that disappearing act, you remained in exile until recently.
Amunta birilo yemo nyinar na yemo ndafa ikamita ikanada itambida itara mane ituta mane fo wati nkono la inara.
Anara ta Casamance Senegal banko kan.
I went to Casamance in Senegal.
Nara obe duwa jabo nara be mo afe subsidy jabi tasilima.
Then, because of the good prayers for me, I met with Sheikh Sidia Jabi of Taslima. When I explained matters to him, because everybody was aware of what was happening. Then he decided to inform the Senegalese government that the whole country's visitor or stranger has arrived here.
So in fact, you were given protection by the Jabi clan and the Senegalese government.
Amunta Jabi kundanko la ila fanala tanko dilala ning Senegal ko la masakunda inara na tanko dilala.
Agoye baye boda mansa Canada mansa kundala ma sa karafa mansa kundadoma.
He said yes, as far as he escaped from one government, now we are going to entrust his protection to another government.
And until Yaya Jammeh left power, you did not come back to visit your mother, your children, and your wives.
Munda itar raje fo kabring mane inana manna Gambia banko jam kumpa boro jam fo kabring Yaya Jammeh wul boray bankun kan inana manna jam kan dingol jube kan la musol jube kan la talibon nol jube inana manna jam.
Nada 2015.
Yes, I came back in 2015.
Omo Yaya Jammeh ko ani menu kuyada ana menu soron ay bonde kasoro.
Because Yaya Jammeh announced that those who had problems with him and those he jailed, because of what he announced that he's going to forgive those people, I said, now I'll come back to the country.
So you come pursuant to the general amnesty that was granted by Yaya Jammeh.
Amunda oyamfo nyinga yo yamfo menge jamala inata na udunyo kanna ide fana nara na Gambia banko.
Wala kan adol manta hanyire banata narna.
Although I was not very brave, but at least I decided to hold on to
what happened? The disappearing act abandoned you or what?
Muna keda fo ile yeman silo ni ye jamfala ban fo mune.
Birimbina koreke na fo mba manya akoma nkoya imura nga ya asombe dingote de dimura kote na obandala.
When I wanted to come back, my mother said, no, that's not safe, let me come back. I told her, Assembly's son will not touch me anymore again. When I came, some people stood by me and they were ready to smuggle me out of the country if anything is about to happen. I told them, for me, running has come to an end. But now it is Yaya Jammeh's time to run and leave this country.
Tell us how you felt being out of Gambia in exile, leaving your family behind.
Afonye bang ite yo ko woko kete fe nyaadi le ka taramane iborte la banko ko itar mane yela dimbal fili ko ma jang woko kete fe nyaadi le
ko nga fa nyame comme ni kulu anen ni dalendo ka duna ko lalu duni poro si kudo.
Yes,
just ko annabi follow lasilo an mo kende follow lasilo.
Yes, just as I said, I trained myself to bear hardships. If you are able to bear hardships, when these things happen to you, you will not feel anything. Just like our former holy men. A lot of them went through hardships, but they were able to bear, and they survived. So the same thing also, I did the same thing.
How about your family, your wives and children? Do you know how they felt with you being absent?
Idingol dunganila muso fo yalo neko temmo men be num mane fo yalo ne wol keta nu nyaadi ila kuoto nyaadi le
ay family be demi ay be tora ay lonyo be tora e fe ila nyom mo ye fo wala ay be suno mol sudada na nyame suno kabar wala nyama ba suno banko beben sako family ni na wululalo.
Everybody was unhappy about this. My family members, my followers, my students, everybody was annoyed and sad about what happened to me. But I have to do what I did. So because of my parents, my immediate family, they were all unhappy and they felt it. It was hard on them.
Who was taking care of them during your absence?
Tembo meno benu mane ila dimbal ni ila musolu jumala ke tarde ila kol topoto kan
ndo umaru nyolo maro nyolo siaka nyolo men bento doron e manne bondo bidem boda yenna dimbal la kulta ila balolo bande mo jama dan mota juna le ndala kafo siara juna nasin kiros mo ke meteraje o siada sanje mo wonde bi de mo ke lolu bembulu nasin kiroto bodo birim baraje wala nata dum dimbal dañi nola anela duno.
It was my younger brothers and friends like Omar and friends like Siaka and others. Well, I gathered a lot of friends a long time ago, and I used to have a large family under me. Up to now, in fact, I think I have about 500 people now in my family. I'm taking care of them. And that started a long time ago.
Did he say 500 followers or 500 members of my family?
500 people who I take care of. They are just like family to him.
Thank you very much, Kawsu. Yeah, Imam.
Yeah, Imam.
Thank you for answering all my questions. I hand over to the chairman, and you promise to give me some of that after. Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Imam Kawsu Fofana, for your testimony.
Chairman ko inumbara council inumbara ba Kawsu ila CDRO kan.
Sisekunda kol sana wol Seattle malam for Fofana bolu kono leba.
Sisekunda people has a lot of bantamates. I don't know whether Fofana is also part of those bantamates.
Nim Fofana bolu kono iman kanan tema folode.
If Fofana happens to be part of them, then you have not yet escaped me.
Yema unye lafte wole ko indi. Yemanta fonyo le kono bang fo yemante mo nyalle fendi melbe sindi sirum gongon.
I want you to clarify this disappearing act. Did you disappear from the building or outside, or how did you do it?
Amanjare kullo be wanyar.
Don't reveal all the secret.
Insilante dame mfolo.
Where I felt fear.
Namira yetasalo nyini yachika nko nyendong sanku yana solbe nyin kono ba nyimbina yema nele bam fomo.
The moment you took up that kettle, I said, well, is it spiritual water from Sankuya, or is this man ready to disappear?
Mala membe tasalo nyin kono de bari be delbe jubero ke kanne ka fo fonyabe finna bam fonyade finna malo.
I don't know what is in that kettle because I was thinking whether my eyes will become dark and I will not see anything or whatever is going to happen.
Bari yemanta nyamento la so ni so le fono molie iman kullo nyimbe wanyar ifo nyamale yemanta bang fo molle nya findi bunkon.
Then how you disappeared is what I want to know. Don't reveal the secrets, but how it took place. Where did you disappear into thin air or whatever, or how did you do it?
Wala Carola.
On that side,
Mr. Mayor.
To be a Muslim
And
to be a student. I
even
told Yaya Jammeh when I sat with him. I told him Hafiz al-Quran, that's somebody who has mastered the Quran. These are papers. But the moment they wrote the Al-Quran on those papers, it became holy. The ordinary papers, what you can do with them, you cannot do that with the Quran. Somebody who masters the Quran is another thing.
In 2010,
there was somebody in America and said the day Bin Laden destroyed their house,
November 11,
or November 11, he said if he sits down, he will burn up the camel, that's the Quran. His mother, in fact, begged him. He said, this is not part of American law. This is a foreign religion. If you burn their book, the law will have something to do with you. She begged his son not to burn it. This thing is something very holy to the Muslim people. What did Yaya said on the day of prayers, Eid day? He said, if that man burns the Quran, he said that will not be peace for the whole American country. That day, I told Yaya Jammeh, I also has mastered or I have memorized the Quran. This kind of Quran, there are 30 of them. I told him I have memorized all those 30 different books.
Qur'ano janila nato watila.
The man who burns the Quran, if that man has trouble,
Qur'ano tankala ni o mate watila.
somebody who has mastered the Quran or memorized the Quran, if you touch that man, you will not have peace. The students, they have a lot of soldiers. When Taifa people stoned the Prophet during daytime, it was an angel who came to the Prophet and told the Prophet that if you want, I will destroy this whole village, I will curse them. If you touch an educated person, then you have touched a lot of people. So a lot of people, you have offended a lot of people. And many jinns also. And many angels also. Allah gives orders any way that he wants to help people, that's the way that help will come. Since you started sitting at these tables here, my coming here will be more famous or powerful than all the others in the world. When you touch Backhouse, you have touched a lot of people. So many people and so many other things help him that you cannot see. Backhouse is a big marabu.
Thank you very much indeed. It's very clear that the secrets of your disappearance will remain secret. Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate.
Imam
Jallo, you have the floor, please.
Imam Jallo le lafte nyinin kala.
Alaji Bakausu.
Alaji Bakausu.
I thought I heard you say that in 2009 we prayed with Mecca.
He prayed with who?
He prayed with Mecca. The Gambian population prayed with Mecca.
2009 Gambian kol ni makankolu salta nyolale.
Is that so?
Akufa keta wala nyama bang.
Nen kansula kankola doluka salda nen doluka balan by ka ke ko bankola salda by president ka sal.
Well, that's what they announce. When the council announces these things, some people pray and they announce that it is the whole country who prayed.
Now, there are many years that we in the Gambia here have prayed with Mecca. We have sighted the moon several times together with Mecca at the same time. What advice do you give to the population about this question of sighting the moon? Should we continue to peg our prayers, our sighting of the moon to the appearance of the moon or not?
Akosila bemu yamarle di la Gambian kolla. Na salo mba denna karole la linyaya je bang fodung silang nyanta munekela etebe muli yamarla munela.
Wala ninya karoja nga sun nga sale nenna jero ne makati abenda ngata nyola. But
what I'm going to say is that when we sight the moon, we fast or we pray. When it coincides with the people of Makkah seeing the moon at the same time, we go along with them.
Well,
that's how it was before. When they sight the moon, sometimes we all sight it on the same day, we go along together on the same day. Sometimes we have these deviations. But still, we should follow the same norm.
About those sects who say if they don't have ndigal, they will not fast or they will not pray.
Ako, molumen ko, ni ma yamaro soto, ite sunna wala ite salla. Ibe mune flawli.
Ya fo ela mai la ya marmolla ne be sunna wane ko banko yesun ela kari jewala ela ya marmolo e be badno nin sa to la alla imamo banko la imamo walla alla kansula alla nyaron ko alla ya marmolo amanke nta nafo e kana sun kansulo ya mar soko de aninte sunno la makalla jero.
Well, I'm not what I'm saying is people should listen to those who advise them. We take advice from people. When they sight the moon, we follow them. And we take their advice as far as it is genuine. So when Maka cites the moon, we should follow them as they cited the moon. And if we cite the moon also on the same day with them, then we can follow up and do the same thing and pray with them on the same day. But we should follow advice of those who are able to cite the moon.
Ndamantara balandeng pro yala karje wala Islam Council molu nyana so banga sum makala hanne makale ofo e balona ko balanda jang.
Well, I'm not saying that we refuse or defy them. No. What I'm saying is let's follow the norm. Because if they want us to do things which is different from the norm, I'll still defy them.
Nen council ko ngasum bankola karjola ndebe wala campagne le ngasum bankola karjola bay wala be kida boldo bay sa ya fana baraje le kona baraje ni men na ramanso be yela mala walla hanni e wonde wala be kida bodo be council be ko momo be mol nyaado ani man sanyolo madame be silo kan e mam mol tora ba man dino tora.
I'm behind the council and behind the head of state. Whatever they say, if it is genuine and it goes with the norms, and the sighting of the moon is genuine, whether it's from Mecca or from the country here, I'm behind them. I'm not defying anybody. I'm not refusing. What I want is to follow.
Thank you very much. Yes, my Commissioner Bojang, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Backhouse.
Greetings to you, Backhouse.
I
want to ask you about the sighting of the moon. Maka, when Maka sights the moon, that's the main bone of contention here between we Gambians and some authorities. I want you to clarify that portion properly for us, the sighting of the moon between us and Maka.
Difference fatam fanso min benni makatema mi yatina na ko nyanta walila wala na ko nyanta sola nyokan karola jela laftele man fo.
The difference, I want you to clarify the difference between us and Mecca. Why we should all pray together on the same day, or why we should pray on different days with Mecca.
I
used to hear about this. People used to talk about it, but I want to hear it from you. What is going to be your view? Abaraka. Thank you.
Amma wala karola kafudole kafarabda alam islam misimol bela kafuba.
There is an association, a big association where it belongs to Muslims. It's a big Islamic association.
Yeah, dunya be kele meeting wala to 1972 Mecca.
They called the whole world to attend a meeting in 1972 in Mecca. They asked whether the whole world cannot fast together on the same day. Well, they didn't say whether people should fast according to Mecca's sighting of the moon. The question was whether the whole world cannot fast together on the same day. A lot of Islamic scholars met there that day. Those people who gathered there were highly educated people. Nobody was above all those people that day. They said if they want the whole world to fast together on the same day, there are two things. But those two things have never occurred up to now. If there is one ruler who will rule the whole world, Sayyidina Abubakar Siddiq was the only person who was the caliph of the whole world at one time. Followed by Omar bin Khattab. Followed by these other companions. They said the whole world, if it should be led by only one person, the same news together at the same time. Formerly, one person used to be ruler of the whole world. But around the evening prayers, if news should come out, The whole world will not hear it because there was no radios at that time, no TVs.
Wala na kalifo katara Iraq la Kufa.
That's why there is a caliph at Iraq in Kufa.
Akasung makabikasung makabikasali.
He fasts when Makkah is not fasting. He prays when Mecca is not praying.
Ba ni karoje Iraq o fitro itafona la makankolia.
Because if they see the moon, if they sight the moon around the first evening prayer, they cannot inform Mecca. If they should fast on different days with the president, there's 1 month they will know. Just like when we start fasting on a Friday and Medina should start fasting on a Saturday. And the president at that time is at Iraq in Kufa. Or Baghdad. He doesn't tell them to refund that day or to fast on that day and repay the day. This is why formally not everybody prays on the same day. Every country prays according to their own norm. Because nowadays, information is quickly disseminated in the whole world, so the whole world can all pray together. But there is not one single ruler who is the whole world's ruler. Saudi has its own ruler, Iraq and Iran, they all have their own rulers. Because of the respect accorded to rulers, you shouldn't disappoint them. So today I'm saying that let's all fast according to the sighting of the moon of our country. They said if there should come a time when the whole world is being ruled by one person, a Muslim, the whole world all gets information at the same time, then the whole world will fast together on the same day. But in the world, the first country to sight the moon, the man ruling the whole world will make everybody fast on the same day according to that country which sighted the moon. This is what educated people have on knowledge. But Makkah sees the moon, so other people should fast by that. Whether your country is close to Makkah or you are far from Makkah, you are a Muslim, it is a Muslim country, or there are a lot of Muslims in the country and you have your own ruler. Makkah didn't say it and the whole world didn't say it. So to fast together on the same day in the world is not yet. Today we hear news at the same time, but there are different rulers in the world. If the whole world is ruled by only one person, he will not say Makkah, he will say the first country that sighted the moon, let's follow them. Gambia is Islam Council to tell the Gambians to fast on the sighting of the moon by Makkah started with the Supreme Islamic Council and Yaya. It is not in the Quran, it is not in the Hadith.
Mr. Chair, perhaps I should just raise a point of order here. All this thing is really interesting for all of us. It's for our own education about Islam sighting of the moon and what that means. But the subject of this hearing is the fact that in the exercise of his religious rights, he was arrested, tortured, and rearrested again, as a result of which he had to go on exile. So this is an attack on his religious freedom. That was the issue. It's not about the Supreme Islamic Council. It's not about the sighting of the moon or about the interpretation. It's all about the violation of his right to preach his own religion, his right to express his own opinion, and his right not to be unlawfully violated. That is the issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counsel, for reminding us the context in which he has come to testify before the Commission. Imam, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to do so now.
Ko imam ning ye kuma soto ifanambe ila kacha kumfala menna kadiamu moli isio kuma kan lusindi molu masai.
Olan kumala bang kabanko be kondong.
I'm extending greetings to the whole country.
Nenka be sabarindi.
And I'm telling everybody to bear and have patience.
Ko fulale be kering.
There are two things.
Dosi bayino dote bayino.
One can be cancelled, but the other one cannot be cancelled.
Aluwali alkana kuya.
You can have differences, but don't be enemies to each other.
Molisi wali no le bay asibayino le mankuya.
People can have different views, but that will not make them enemies to each other.
Arjana musati baleti.
Jannah is a big city.
Sila jamal kada Arjana.
There are many roads leading to Jannah.
Ene mosi be Arjana ina manna sila killing.
You can meet with somebody in Jannah and you didn't go by the same route. You might have come through Malik's Majabu and go into Mecca, into Jannah. Or you use Safai's way and go into Jannah. Or Amatijan's Tariqa and go into Jannah. Or Qadri's Tariqa and go into Jannah. Or Abdul Wahab's way and go into Jannah. People can have different views or different opinions, but that shouldn't make you enemies. Whether you are an ustaz or a marabu, even we have different views, let's not be enemies. To become enemies to each other is a very, very bad thing which takes us backwards. And it makes us fail. Whether it's politics or religion, we can have differences. But let's not be enemies. And whatever we are in, especially about the TRRC, those who were victims during Yaya Jammeh's time, he's advising all of them to have patience and let them forgive. What happened here, Gambians, what they did to their fellow Gambians, some did it at a time when it wasn't their intention or their will. It took only 23 years in this world. Before the world will come to an end, there are many hundreds of years ahead. Before these 23 years, many thousands of years has already passed. People who were wounded and those who died is limited. When a madman kills a person, the people are crying. He said, people are not serious. He said one person's death among people, that's what people are crying for. But Gambia is a matured country. But it's only 23 years that these things happen. And our relationship has been here for many hundreds of years. And Gambia will be here for many hundreds of years to come. What happened in 23 years is just a few, amounted to a short time. Then this table should be a school for us and to remind people of the country. Nobody should trouble your neighbor just because of tomorrow. Even if it ends here, that's okay. Those who offended and those who were offended and those who placed hardship on other people and those who went through hardship, those who went hardship, let them forgive. Those who caused that hardship for them should not do it again. Let them forgive each other. Let them apologize to each other too. And TRRC sitting should be a school for everybody. It shouldn't be something that will cause trouble for people. It shouldn't be a problem problem for the others. It shouldn't cause hardship for others. Those who went through hardship, the victims, let us talk to them nicely and entertain them. After that, let them have peace in their mind. That can something that can bring that about is money or position or even sweet words. Gambia it is Gambia. We see each other. Let's all come together and be one so that we can take this Gambia forward. It shouldn't be something whereby you will narrate something to your son or your grandchildren so that they will remain in anger. I even said that in my first sermon, saying that let's forgive and forget. I even thought that I shouldn't come here, but I said, let me come and talk so that some people can learn a lesson from it. My sincere thanks to the commissioners, the TRRC commissioners, the lawyers, and all those and the elders who participated here and who are here today. Well, I used to talk about other people, but for 3 years, I have not talked about the TRRC. Before he will tell me that you say things about the Jolas, he would have told me that, but you have said a lot about the TRRC. Then he will talk about the TRRC more than the Jolas and Ablai Fati. But I know that this place here is a school for everybody, where some people should learn something for tomorrow. Countrymen should have this patience in heart. Let's forgive each other. Let's forget and forgive. Let's try and come together and take this country forward. I extend thanks to all of you and the government in place today. President Adam Barrow, plus the whole government, and Lamin Toure, and Raudal Majalis, plus all elders associations. Greetings to all the lawyers and the security people of the country, the security men. Thanks to everybody. Because of the tightness of time. But when this thing happened, a lot of people came to talk to us so that we can forgive and forget. Thanks to all those people who made those efforts. Sitting has been a long time. The time you gave me has elapsed. So still thanks to all of you. Greetings from Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and the whole country. When I went to Bissau, the Islamic Council, when I went to Bissau, they tell each other, well, is this the same Kawsu who had problem with Yaya? But you see, Yaya has gone and he is here. If I sit down with these big gowns in front of vehicles, they all give me respect, and sometimes some people give me something. But then I don't know, even my enemies, whether I am going to praise them or I am going to be angry with them. They've really made me important in the world, and they've extended my name to many corners of the world. Sometimes I'll tell them that I'll give you rice or I'll pray for you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you. You're a citizen of the country, and you didn't deserve to be tortured by agents of the state at NIA. Thank you very much indeed for coming to testify, and thank you for your concluding remarks and wise words and prayers. This brings us to the end of our proceedings today, and also the 3-week time we have devoted to the 11th session.
Bitumbi nyimbi lungo na season tanning kilingo fanang bi abantajanne bitumbe mobe numbarala.
I have just 3 quick points to make. First, we are resuming the public hearings on Monday, the 17th of February. In the meantime, the committee would continue its work at committee level. As well as some preparation of our first interim report for the activities of the first year of the commission. The second point is we will inform the public regarding the theme of the next session, the 12th session. Mbe jamaa molu londilale mbinasi omenna nyanta kolu menu mala nyanta diamolu menu kelambe molu bondila kalamale. And the third, if there are any residuals from this 11th session, we will take them up at the 12th during the 12th session.
Bitun nin tolu tuta nyin sita nin kilinjango meng be banna bi teng to woto tutaji bitun binawlu fanalu be dundila sita nin fulanjango le kono membina datila.
Thank you all very much for coming to the TRRC and supporting us. Your support, your prayers, and your encouragement is what sustains us.
Akwal be al nimbara ala baraka. Allah lon teluye kam fasa kam mako e kandema wole kan tolu fanalu hamendi analla dua wol be mu kulletin solata menna wol mu kulleti menu kan tolu fanalu sembentu ya pour na doko keno nyamin ay tama anyama.
Thank you very much indeed. Meeting is adjourned. We'll see you on the 17th of February.